mortified. So I focus on being fortified. Twisted shit encrypted and codified. Products of a simulation. First generation sufferers of overstimulation. My stipulation got me looking for some ventilation. I changed the station, ignoring Satan's invitation. No visitation for my brothers off solicitations. Incarcerations, it's called the Matrix. If life's a bitch, then she's a dominatrix. So death got to be your masculine presence. Opening his arms while you bask in his essence. Sometimes when I talk to God, I call my passive aggressive. Will I open heaven's doors or just burn from my lessons? Blessings. You know the game been told. If I was you, then my soul would have been sold. Watch what you do, cause it's coming back tenfold. Either way it goes, man, I'm 10 toes, 10 toes, 10.
Yeah. What's up? We're back. We are back. Thank you. You're far too kind. Yeah, y'all. I'm gonna really enjoy this interview tonight. We got one of my favorite content creators in the building. And it's for many reasons. First of all, I think he's super fly and debonair. I love when our brothers get suited. I love when they can articulate themselves. I love when they don't leave no room for guessing for how they carry themselves. Like I love how he carries himself. I never see him get out of pocket. He brings information, and you could tell his heart is right. Like it's not just about presentation with me, but it's about intention. And I could tell he cares. And he said this about me, so we see the same things in each other. So this is definitely going to be a easy interview for me because I always want to pick his brain. So I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation, and I don't want to hold up too much of your time. So without further ado, the illustrious Medium Man is in the building. I gotta drop a bomb too. Let's go, man. I got the roadcaster with the air. Usually I do my air horn thing, but for some reason, did y'all hear this? Hold up. Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that sound? Y'all didn't hear it?
No.
It's okay. I'm gonna get it together. But brother, I'm so happy that you're here, brother. This is long overdue. I've been wanting you on my channel for a while. Hopefully this won't be the last time. But I definitely looking forward to this conversation. But like I like to ask, I not forget to ask this question a lot, but how did you find out about my content, and what made you want to give me a follow and want to work with me? Because I'm sure you get a lot of offers, and you don't seem like somebody that just do it because somebody asked you. So what made you find interest in my perspective, brother?
Now, first and foremost, man, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Blessings to you and yours, man. I mean, finally, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we finally got it together, man. I'm glad we was able to work it out and, get on a live stream together. And to answer your question, man, the first time that I came across your content was of course, that interview that you did on the street. And I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. But at the time, I don't believe I think I was either new in the content creation space, or I was just, I was about to start doing it. But when I saw it, I was sharing it with a couple of my friends. I was like, man, this makes so much sense in regards to what's going on out there. So that was the first piece. And then it led recently to one of the interviews that you did with my guy, DJ Hamp. And the conversation that you two brothers have, I have so much respect for that brother over there. And just to see how you guys were able to work through the conversation, it just made so much sense. And I was like, yeah, man, if anything, if I was going to do an interview with anybody, it would definitely be DJ Hamp and also Illosophical, just based off of that alone. So I greatly appreciate it, man.
Humble by that, brother. Humble by that. So let's get into it. Why the name Medium Man? And what are you positioning yourself between with that name?
Okay, so it kind of has two meanings, because I'm in the mathematics world, right? I've been a statistician for almost 10 years now. So when I talked about medium, we call it in the math world, of course, the median. So like the middle divide. I was like, I don't want to be median, man. So I just said medium man, and then it gravitated towards finding a happy medium and somewhat level setting the conversation. And that's what I thought I was going to bring to these spaces. I remember, and I have a funny story before you move forward. One of my close friends, when I was in the military, she invited me to a Facebook page, and it was ran by a young woman who's actually in this space. For she's in this space. We could talk offline about that. But I was on this Facebook page, and they were talking about something that wasn't true about black men. And I just responded, calmly. I'm not gonna be insulting people. And I think I went back to work, and I came back, and I had all these, notifications like, "Oh, what's going on?" Man, they called me every name in the book. I was like, "Yo, like, what did I say wrong?" And so I went off with my friend. I was like, "What you got me into? Like, what's going on here?" So that's what it kind of got me into. Well, let me start asking questions on my own page. So I created the Facebook page called The Question of the Day. So I did that from 2018 to about 2021. And I was just asking questions, like to see where people, their thought process and their heads were, especially in the black community. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Starting to get some, conversation going. And then that's what led me to making content. And then once I started watching the panel shows, I was like, man, there's a whole bunch of misinformation out here. I think I would have a beeline kind of lane to explain certain things with context. So that's I became a content creator, I guess. So.
Absolutely. And I have a friend of mine, shout out to Masa Muhammad. And I was telling him, like, bro, you got to come on these panels and drop some knowledge. And he's like, nah, I ain't trying to do that. And what he started to come on my panels. What he realized is, like you said, there's so much misinformation. So on one hand, it's like, okay, I don't want to get involved in the panelists, but it's about the people.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people that make content, but they have a voice. I mean, they have an audience. And what I be telling people, it's not necessarily about the people on the screen. It's about the people that's watching the screen.
Right.
Because you're not going to meet me. You may not meet Medium Man, but you're going to meet somebody that listen to me. You might meet somebody that listen to Medium Man or Jay-Z or this one or that one. So the mentality or the psychology that they're receiving from this information, you're going to have to deal with it in the real world. So it needs a counter, because they're just hearing this information from these people over and over and over.
Yeah.
And there's no pushback, there's no counter. They're just taking this shit and running with it. And even when I'm sure you could attest to this, even when you're telling the truth, it can get misconstrued.
Yeah.
Because people hear what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? So they could take your message and run with it. So things need to, I feel like men, we're the filtering agents for society. I feel like as a man, you're the filtering agent for your family, for your wife, for your, they filter things through you. Dad, what you think? Like it's supposed to be filtered through us. What we think is cool stays, and what we don't, we should be the last stop on that.
Right.
Like, how do you feel about the legions of misinformation on online when it comes to this particular conversation, when it comes to relating to people, and why do you think that's an issue?
Yeah, it's a huge issue. And if you look at the black community and the state that we're in, I think the opinions and or the way that we view each other in the black community is based off of a lot of misinformation. And I think if there was a better way to promote ourselves and people bought into that in the black community, I think we would be in a better place. But that misinformation is so steeped in over many decades, it's very tough to break that, because when somebody believes something and then you get, let's say, a guy like me, and I'm saying, hey, no, what you've been fed is wrong. Here's the study. Here's the statistics to show that it's wrong. They are connected to that. So any information that's new and breaks that cycle, then it's going to be a problem. And that's very tough to handle in the black community, because some of the negative stereotypes have been going on for so long, it feels like it's truth. And when you get into these spaces, people lead with feelings, and you can kind of see that on a day-to-day basis every time you get on social media. Every time it gets heated, every time somebody says a differing opinion, then it goes to either ad hominems or just the feelings involved. So it definitely plays a huge part. So
and I'm glad you said that, because like when you said you've seen the conversation with me and Hampton, I'm not trying to challenge anybody's religious views, but it gets to a point where people let belief shadow facts, and that's when the lines get blurred. And I think one of the problems with religion, that especially the church specifically with our people, that they don't respect information if they don't believe it. Yeah. But sometimes, not even sometimes, all the time, there's no place in belief when it comes to statistics, when it comes to mathematics. You need belief to inspire, but there has to come to a place. We have to come to a place where conclusion is evident.
Mhm.
Life is made off conclusion, not belief. Belief is something that you personally use to find personal information.
Right.
But when you're trying to evaluate a group, you're trying to evaluate a demographic of people, you have to come to some conclusion. And I
Absolutely.
think one of the dangers of what the church did to us historically is it locks us in a place of belief where if we don't believe it, we mean that we think it doesn't, it's not real. And it is real, whether you believe it
Yeah.
or not. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have a place to occupy knowledge that's not based on belief in your mind as an adult.
Right.
And have you noticed that as well?
Yeah, it's a very tough cycle to break. I mean, I know one of the main things that I've really learned in these spaces is when you talk about statistics and you bring up, you know, the context to it and you explain it at the lowest level possible. Because, and this is not to disrespect anybody in the chat, but I know that, you know, my background is in this field, so it could get a little bit technical. So I have to take the time as an instructor and as a teacher to make it seem like, you know, hey, I can understand this. So one of
And
the
you're doing an
biggest
excellent job at that.
Yeah.
You've carved out a lane that I think a lot of people try to do,
Mhm.
but you're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, that took, I appreciate that, man. It took a lot because I used to be a lot technical, used to be very dry, but now I'm starting to understand how these spaces work. So in regards to statistics, I don't mind having a conversation about statistics, but in order to have the conversation, you have to have a counter statistic. You have to have a rebuttal to what I'm saying. You cannot have a conversation with me and say, well, I don't think this is true. And I'm like, okay, where's your counter statistic to prove
Sound
that
like
it's
me.
not?
I like
Yeah.
to say, because I deal with history. So my favorite quote is cite your sources.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
you can't cite your source, I don't want to hear it because I can go right and I got my sources in arm's length for me. I done read pages on panels. Like I don't care how you feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm not moved. I'm not trying to impress or agree or disagree
Mhm.
with the panelists, but my focus is on the people,
Yeah.
not you guys.
Yeah.
But,
The truth is what's missing. And I keep reverting back to the Black community because I'm interested in the Black community. People don't know I am very pro-Black. I love the Black community.
though, it's obvious.
I am very pro-Black, and I think that's one of the biggest critiques that I get in these spaces from the Black men. They're like, "Man, you see what these Black women doing?" I'm like, "Bro, I love my people, man. I got to tell the truth."
I'm glad you said that because maybe you can give me, I want your opinion on this. This is my issue, right? Because it's like I realize in this space, the women want you to be all on the men want you to be all on the women. It's like I'm just not. And what I try to tell the brothers is, look, we feel like the women has been telling the story haphazardly in one side, and when they speak, they dehumanize us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, when they speak, they don't take into account our sons.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take into account our daughters or their fathers or grandfathers. Their perspective for the last 60, 50, 40 years has been strictly about them.
Right.
As Black men, I feel like we should speak our piece, but better than how they spoke peace. Since they disregarded the young boys and girls when they explained the situation, guess what we should do? We should include the young boys and girls when we talk. Not saying you talking specifically about them, but when I speak, I want my daughter to be able to watch it. I don't want to say something because I don't want to come to a conclusion where my daughter feel like, well, I'm just destined to be a 304.
Yeah.
Destined to be what? That's not what I'm saying. Just like because that's what they did to us. They had us feel like, oh, I'm destined to just be nothing.
Go to jail and all
we showing
stuff.
exactly. If we're the leaders, we're not just showing them how to behave better. We're showing them how to be objective better. This is how you have the conversation. Like for example, when the Black fatigue conversation, when we talk about, you know, how Europeans, they have their opinion about Black issues. And my thing is this, because I got into it with Pearly Things recently, and everybody was like, oh, you didn't let. I'm like, listen, there's a way to talk about it. And now if you're a white person, you're saying, hey, I understand the atrocities of our people. I understand the redlining. I understand all these historical things that white America has done. But with that being said, you would think that based on how our people have treated you guys, you would be more unified today. Why is the crime rate? That's honest.
Mhm.
But if you just coming into it like, oh, y'all doing this, let's bring both of our transgressions to the table
Mhm.
and then have the
Then we
conversation.
can have a discussion.
Because they're honest, that's respectable. They're not doing that. They just
Yeah.
discard. Oh, that's the past. That's the past. That's the past. But what about you? No, that's not respectable.
Right.
Because if you live with us, we all live in the same country together. You should have an opinion on anybody you got to deal with. But it's never what you do; it's how you do it. But with that being said, because I don't want to I want you to really like get it in tonight. And I'm going to make this disclaimer one time, y'all. Y'all know what time it is. Support the channel. Y'all, it's a lot of foolishness out here. This is a real conversation. This ain't salacious. This is real talk. This is not a trash we passing around. This is not a trash basket we passing around. Y'all already know what time it is. Y'all know what we doing over here.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was a trash. Don't be hitting on me.
Y'all already know how we doing over here. So let's get to it. Show love, support the channel. Illa need a new camera. All right. So let's get to it. So, 2, do you believe most people in this space or period argue to win or to understand?
Man, I would honestly say to win, because when you have, let's use like a panel show, for example. If you bring a whole bunch of people that have their own platforms, nobody wants to look like a sucker. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody gets the best of you in a debate or an argument, then you have to go back to your channel and you have to address those things. Why you didn't say this? Why you didn't say that? So it turns into a conversation about winning or getting my clippable moments up, so I could say that, hey, I said what I needed to say to this guy, and then we went from there. Because and this is no disrespect to the people that I see on panel shows. It's a lot of intelligent people out there. I'm not gonna lie to you. They know how to manipulate YouTube. They come from very educated backgrounds, and one of the greatest things that I learned about social media, especially Black folks, is a lot of educated Black folks out here. But sometimes we don't use that education or that intelligence when necessary. And I think on these panels, if we were able to do that, because I've seen people say, I have a degree in this and I have a degree in that, but then I see a whole different side of you on the social media. And I'm like, well, where is all this intelligence that you went to school for? All these books that you said you learned? I would love to see that. And I champion that all the time. I try and highlight as many Black folks as I can that's doing something, positive, especially when it has to do with, earnings, education, historical references, all that type of stuff. But I really think that we have enough brain power in these spaces to utilize it to a point where we could make a drastic change. But sometimes that content creator label, it hinders us from having an honest conversation, because you rarely hear somebody say, you know what, I thought this before I got on this panel, but you told me different. You showed me different. I accept that. I was wrong. So now I'm going to go back out there and I'm going to present this information to my channel so they won't repeat what I was repeating, which was false. If that happened, man, I promise you, the Black space will be less toxic. It would be crazy. It would be great. So
it's funny that you said that, because that happened to me. Shout out to Bruiser, Darwin McPherson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is. Okay.
Yeah, we had a disagreement, and I was, telling him like, bro, you need to do your homework, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I done been challenged on this panel so many times for just just holding men accountable to being studious,
right?
Like you said, and these guys are Army guys. They got their bachelors. I didn't do none of that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know, you should know. And another thing, you probably felt like this. People feel like when you tell them something that is definitively that you think you'll know it all. It's like, first of all, bro, usually people who know it all try to withhold information.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm giving you my sources and I'm giving you the authors' names, that not only opens the door for you to know what I know, it also opens the door for you to correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
How are you arguing with that? So shout out to Bruiser, because he's the first person since I've been in this space that publicly acknowledged, like, I'll learn from this brother. He really had changed how I look at things. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, he's jumped leaps and bounds on my list, my tier of respect for people, because it takes a lot to do that. And he got 100,000 something subscribers. He got a lot of subscribers on multiple platforms. So that's a real man to me.
Yeah,
Period.
and I went back and looked at some of the live streams, and I've seen people recognizing them in my chat. Like sometimes it'll just pop in there, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I know who this guy is or whatever." So I haven't seen too much of his content. I have seen a couple videos where he did. It'll pop up on the feed, and I watched a little bit of it. So yeah, I definitely know who it is. But funny that you mentioned that. I just did a breakdown of the archetypes of black men, and I did the intelligent black men, and I was just speaking about the fact that sometimes when you have a lot of knowledge, you tend to get very quiet when you're around people who aren't there yet, you know? So sometimes you just sit back like, damn, man, if I interject, then I'm gonna sound like a know-it-all. But if I say something, then that's gonna turn people against me. And it's a conundrum for that type of guy, especially if I don't know something in a certain space, like if I'm not well educated on it, like I was telling you offline, I'm a great listener. And, with that, if I don't know something, then I'm definitely going to sit back and I'm going to try and learn, so I can either research it or I can just take the nuggets that was presented and I can, run with it or whatever. I can, I guess quote it or whatever I need to do with the information. So I'm more of a kind of a stoic guy. I lay back, when need be and necessary, especially when it has to do with things about attention to detail. So, and that's where the statistics come in, something like, if I need to learn something or if somebody says something that's crazy and I'm like, that don't sound right, let me do the research. And I'm taking notes and I'm learning, I'm listening, and then I'll present it to my audience because I don't want them to go out there with some false information. And then if somebody fact checks them, then they're going to come back to me like, man, why you tell us that? So, yeah, so I get it. And that right, I do take the influencer title very seriously, especially when it has statistics about the black community. Two things that I despise in these spaces. I despise black folks who lie on black men and lie to black women. And that's most of my content is centered around correcting those lies on both parties. So,
and that's why I love your content so much, bro, because I can see the humility in you. Mm-hmm. It's obvious that you're an accomplished man, but you never I hate arrogant people, bro. And people think I'm arrogant and I'm not. I'm just not gonna let you play with me. Mm-hmm. But I'm very humble. I'm quick to give people their flowers mid-conversation, but you're not about to play with me. Because for some reason, we think that humility means no, humility can be confident too. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to look like some soft, don't play with me. I'm gonna embarrass you. That's why most of these panels I've been on, I feel like I'm the Floyd Mayweather because I don't know, y'all. Y'all tell me. I ain't really been in those conversations where I had to go back. Most of the time they got to go back to the drawing board. It's because I didn't I say this all the time. A lot of people, like I told you before the show, they're trying to find identity in the midst of their content. Mm-hmm. I came here with an identity. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to find myself in content. And then one thing I've learned, even from recently by hearing these conversations, Red Pill conversations, you probably noticed this too. When I heard Kevin Samuels or the Angry Mans or whatever, any Red Pill guy you want to throw out there, any person speaking on behalf of men, when I heard it, it was like, I told y'all, it wasn't a revelation for me. It was a confirmation what I was telling people. But what I realized is a lot of men really didn't know. Nothing about.
I talked about that, and I'm glad that you brought that up. It was just. I kind of liking it to like the uncle or your brother, your big brother or whatever that would have told you this information when you were younger. And that some of that stuff that's in the Red Pill spaces, I definitely agree with, but I also understand that a lot of guys weren't taught this. So sometimes they get the negativity mixed up with what you were supposed to be taught when you were a young man, and I think that's a positive of that space. And then it's gotten all distorted into all this other foolery, and it's just, it's a lot of good information there if you utilize it correctly. I mean, it's not guys walking around on the street with the RP on their chest. You don't need to. As long as you got the information, you can apply it, and you don't have to like it or dislike it. It's just the fact that somebody should have told you this, and now you're getting the positives of it, and you need to apply it if need be. If not, then just leave it alone,
And even to expand on your point, what I realized is, because I didn't have nobody teach me this, I just was paying attention. Yeah. It's like, you don't see these girls? You don't see who they gravitate towards or who they go. It's like, this also showed me that how many of y'all are actually paying attention to what's going on? Are you going by what women are telling you? or you going by what they doing?
What they do.
And because when I was a young boy, I realized really early, because my mother raised me to be, you know, I was born in 85.
Mhm.
So, you know, being a gentleman, holding
Right.
doors, like I like to, and I'm getting ahead of myself because I got these questions, but when
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
talking
no,
to
go
somebody that's smart, bro, because it's nothing we can't, it's no place we can't go.
Yeah.
I don't have to keep the structure because you can process things in real time like I can. And so it just goes. Because I really want to, you know, I definitely want to talk about these girls.
Oh,
And I got you, especially somebody with your caliber of mind.
right.
But what I realized is the issue I realized is they raised us they taught young black, they raised us and taught us how to behave, but they emphasized accomplishment to the girl, creating a social dynamic that we still dealing with today.
Right.
You know how to open doors and be courteous, and she getting to the bag and looking at you like it's like they raised us, they focused on behavior with black men, and they focused on accomplishment with black women of art. Because when I'm talking about a certain demographic, 35 and up. I'm not talking about the youngins. When I talk about relationships, I'm talking about us.
Right.
Because we was raised a certain way. Is there some truth to that? Do you see what I'm talking about? Or
yeah, and you know,
well?
I'm in the process of trying to finish this goddamn book. But I actually wrote about that, you know, in regards to, you know, the generation.
I definitely want a copy of that sign.
Yeah,
please.
I got you, man. It's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna give you I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, I did have a chapter in there about the, you know, our generation, you know, especially when it comes to the women, because sometimes I'll say it like this. I actually understand why black women feel the way they feel about black men, because they were told so many lies over the past decades that's hard to overlook and it's hard to unlearn, right? So if you've been taught that all black men are in jail, all black men are gay, all black men don't make money, we make more than them, we own more businesses than them, then you have no other reason but to think that your male counterparts are less than. So I'm like, well, I understand that aspect of it. What I don't understand is when you are presented with the information and you still don't accept it. And I actually had to go back and watch some of the old talk shows like Ricky Lake, and I showed my chat.
I like that. I like that you're doing that, because these young cats don't know what we saw.
Yeah, they don't know that's where it stemmed from.
Yes.
So, and I showed them. I was like, "Hey, did you remember the 1 in 3 black men, you know, going to prison? Listen to what this guy just said. You know, you remember where, you know, they were talking about, you know, black men earning less. That's where this comes from. And I guess capturing that moment from those shows, it definitely helped some of my older female friends understand, oh, okay, now I see what you're saying. Because when I said the reason why y'all believe this stuff is because it was fed to you, because every time I use this for an example, the deadbeat black father. It's like, where's the first, I asked a question, I was like, where's the first time you heard that? And it was like, oh, somebody told me. And then somebody said, well, it was on the TV show. And then they said, you know, I was like, did you ever look it up? And everybody said no. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you look that up? But then when I give you the correct information, what source is that? Where you get that from? And I'm like, hold on now. You didn't have no problem believing this. But now when I'm telling you and I'm giving you the information, it's like, oh, man, where you get that from? No, that ain't true, because it's so ingrained over the decades. Like, man, I can't help but keep this thought process, because as long as the black men are to blame, then people could stay away from black women and like, hey, man, we don't have to approach them because we can always blame Jermaine. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that's where I come. I'm like, we got to stop that, because the longer you keep black women in the dark and you don't tell them the truth, the worse that is going to be in the future. And I try and catalog this, and I speak to black women sincerely. And I'm like, hey, man, it's not going to help if they're telling you that the reason why 300,000 black women lost jobs is because those black women became entrepreneurs. Why would you say that? That's a lie. You know what I'm saying? So if they think that that's true, then they go out there and they're still struggling, then it's going to be a problem in the future. So in order to stop that or to combat it, I have to tell them the truth along with solutions, and not just saying, hey, you guys are doing bad in this area, go fix it. No, I always make sure I end the conversation with the solutions of what I think should help or could help. And then you can, you know, I guess go with that or not. But yeah, it's very tough. So
yeah, yes, it is. And damn, I got these questions, but I just want to pick your brain about these girls, man. But I'm gonna work my way there because once we there, man, it's going because it's so many things. Like it's like I like to say this, right? I feel like we're at a place now, talking about our generation specifically.
Right.
I don't know how old you are. I'm assuming you're around my age.
I'm 46 years old, so
you look great. I was about to say you older, but I didn't want to offend you because you look like you could be younger than me too. So I'm 40. So you know what I'm saying? I'm little bro. So I can call you big.
No, you got
I can call you big bro, and I don't feel weird about
it.
it. Big bro. My big bro medium man. Can you attest to this? Our generation specifically.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're finally learning the truth about each other now.
Yeah.
And what I mean by is this. We were raised to look at women as soft, very loving and and they're not just that. Sometimes they're not that at all. And I think what happens is when we approach them from that perspective, we're not prepared for the coldness that they have. So we're like dumbfounded. And on the flip side, women expect us to be this sexual crave monsters. And then when we're vulnerable and we show sensitivity, they're not prepared for that side. So it's like we're not prepared for the reality of each other. Are you? How do you feel about that statement?
No, I think that it's true, but I also think it's a blessing, and I'll use this sincerely. Yeah, it's a blessing that we actually get to see it in real time, because back in the day when we were, youngins, we didn't have the social media to see these displays. And I learned so much about the dating market from social media, about what people were going through, and also from the chat. Like sometimes I remember when I first started doing content and somebody asked me some questions about, like dating, and I said something that was like kind of outdated, right? And somebody's like, nah, Media Man, they ain't doing that. And I'll give you a perfect example. It was funny to me. I was like, okay, so if a woman is a nurse and you work on, construction or whatever, both of y'all got careers, you're doing, working or whatever. And then we were talking about marriage. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Y'all come together. You got a great income. You pool that money together. Y'all could be in the upper echelon or wherever you live, right? The guys was in the chat. It was like, no, Media Man. Like the girls want you to continue to work while they continue to work their career, but save their money. I was like, what? Like, what sense does that make? Like, so you mean to tell me she's going to continue her career, keep her money, but you got to pay all the bills? Like, well, what happens with her money? And I remember Dante Bryan, he can attest to this. They were like, well, the women are saying that they're going to just save it for vacations. I'm like, what? I was like, so that don't make no sense. I learned that was going on. I was like, it just didn't compute in my mind. And I had to explain to, the chat. I was like, hey, man, I was like, 74% of marriages are dual income. It's only 26% of people, not women, people, men and women, afforded to be stay-at-home wives or stay-at-home husbands. So how does that work? And I was trying to explain to black women, like, when you go to work, the next time, look to your left and look to your right. Is it only black women working? It's like, nah, everybody working, man. This is not anything new. This is how society is built, on dual income households.
Even in antiquity, like, yes, women always worked. It was never no time where they probably worked more.
Yeah.
Out in nature, we milking cows, and so it's just like it's interesting that you said that. But yeah, man. And one thing, I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. I got a couple friends, man, from Cherry Hill. I've spent a couple of Thanksgiving
right near Camden.
Yeah, okay.
So I said that to say this, right? One thing about being from the inner city that gives you an advantage that a lot of people don't realize later in life, whatever socially engineered programming they have for black people, you're going to see it take place there first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's no filtering agents in the hood. They're taking in whatever the TV says, whatever the rap, like there's nobody blocking the messages. So the epitome of what they want us to be negatively, you're going to see it take full form in the hood before it hits everywhere else. So I was forced to see what they had planned for our women, because I seen it happen to me. I seen at a young age that the boy, even not just the youth, but even the staff. Like when I went to school, right? I went to a school called Malcolm X Shabazz for 3 years, and she would like lean on me. Even the movie Lean on Me, that was in Jersey. You know that, right?
Yeah.
That was East Side. That's a true story.
Yep.
My mother worked for Joe Clark. Rest in peace, mom.
Oh wow.
So that's how it is out there. So I went to school that was kind of like that. And what I realized is I seen the pedestalization of the criminal black male, not just in the social dynamic in school, but in the adults. Like, for example, you got that one boy who come to class, all he do is fight. He fight. He fights so much to the point that if he just come to school for a week and don't interrupt nothing, he gets a bored of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, hold on, y'all. They keep doing this. Meanwhile, the cat that been in school all year long, who been in class all year long, they don't even care about him.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes what young men strive to be or what they think is respected in the black community, because they only care. It's like, I think a rapper just came home, Fetty Wap. It was like a Soul Train line with, not knocking him, but they had like a Soul Train line coming home for him to come home. It's like somewhere along the line, we really pedestalize the criminal at the expense of the intelligent brother. Now, when he gets to the CEO position, now when he gets to now you want to circle back, and it's like they don't always work like that. So I think that coming up, I felt like they just really pedestalized the thug. And,
I think I did a video about this where I was talking about the gang culture in the 90s. I grew up in California, so that was very prevalent. You know, you couldn't wear certain things in certain areas, and then if you lived in
you grew up in California at your age, you seen it for real.
Yeah, we seen everything. I think I seen my first deletion, just walking down the creek, whatever. So just because of that, and my mom, she, like, I remember we moved to another place. I was growing up in Sacramento, California, and we moved to a different neighborhood, and she was like, "Hey, you got to throw all that red clothing away." I was like, what you know what I'm saying? We didn't kind of understand, but we lived in a predominantly Crip neighborhood. She was like, I don't want you to be walking down the street, you know what I'm saying? And you ain't got nothing to do with it, but I just don't want you to get in trouble. I was like, okay, it makes sense. So during that time, it was very different, but you also got to see, like you said, the pedestalization of the criminal, because that's all we saw in the 90s. I grew up when, NWA and, all those guys started going viral, I guess, so to speak, and that was like the end thing. So it's very tough to unlearn certain things. And I did see when Fetty Wap got back, and I went to the comments of one girl's page, and all the women was like, "Oh man, he looking good. He got some muscles now." And I was like, "Sweet Christmas!" Like, man, it's it's like people just graduated.
You don't get muscles free. You don't have to go to jail to get muscles. And you don't have to go to jail to learn. Like I had a friend who would argue me about books. Now he came home from jail. Yo, read this book, and I'm like, I'm happy, brother. I'm glad you're reading. Yeah, but you ain't have to go to jail to read.
Yeah. And then seems like that's where, good habits. You graduate, you can get your GED and in jail and things like that. Because we used to one of my jobs that I used to do, we used to have to go to Fort Leavenworth, and we'd have to speak to the military members that were incarcerated. And then that transitioned out to us going to different prisons. And we used to speak to those guys about, military life and just certain things. And he used to be funny. He's like, yeah, man, I just got my GED. And this guy was like 43 years old. And I was like, God, dog, man, and how long you been in there? I've been there for about 20 years. And it's just, you look around, you're like, God, dog, this dude looked like my brother. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you've been in here for a while. So it's very tough. And then when I'm in this space now where I'm trying to help the black community learn that all black men aren't criminals, when they were under the impression that damn near 50% of us was incarcerated. And I did some polls just, going back and forth with people, and I was asking questions like, how many black men you think in jail? And people were saying 50, 60%. I was like, seriously? I was like, it's about 20, 22, 23 million black men that's in the United States, and you saying that 50, 60% are in jail? I got so much pushback off of those videos where I broke down the prison, incarceration rates. People were like, wow, it's like, it's only, because I put things into context. I said, hey, across all incarceration facilities, not just prison, not just jail, I'm talking about everything. It's only about 1.9 million people incarcerated total in the United States. It's about 340 million of us living in the United States. So if you put that into context, only 2 million. How many of that you think is black men? And they're just like, what? You know, only 2 million. I'm like, yeah. You know, so in the black
Now, were
community,
you hearing this from black men or more? Or
oh,
more
it
black
was
women?
from black men, black women, everybody. Of course, you know, you expect white folks to say, you know, oh man, yeah, you know, we you know, y'all incarcerated, whatever. But I was just shocked to see black men saying, nah, this is not true. This is not true. It's got to be more black men incarcerated. I was like, why would you even want to believe that? But again, it goes back to your point, the glorification of the people in prison and the criminals. I think that's where they get their mindset from. And one of the things recently, real quick, and this is funny because I seen offhand the singer Doechii. You know who that is? Yeah. Okay, so Doechii, she, I guess the streamer Aiden Ross was saying
talking about that Saturday.
Yeah, saying some crazy stuff about her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who the guy was, but I just know who she was from her comments she made about straight black men or straight men being like the problem in society or something like that, right? So I was like, oh, okay, she don't like men, I'm gonna discard her. But the responses that I've seen from black women, they were like, oh, it's all these black men, y'all killing each other, but y'all won't do nothing about this guy Aiden Ross. And I'm like, that right there is black women thinking, you know, that all black men are criminals. Like we all have this bone in us or this, you know, this mindset to just going out there and killing, you know, deleting each other. That's not the majority of black men. So
also what you highlighted is how they don't realize they don't want us until they need us.
Yeah.
But that same woman who discarded black men is black men defending her honor to the same white guy. That's why you need to watch what you say.
Yep.
And speaking of that, I want to play a clip. I want to play a clip real quick. And I want your opinion on this.
The reason why affirmations for black men has like transformed and changed my life particularly is because the more that I affirmed black men every day for 2 years, the more that I realized I didn't love them as much as I thought I did.
Speak more to that.
It was the act of finding something different, of studying, of trying and looking to understand. It made me realize that I had never done that before. Until it became something that I was doing because I saw that people needed. And then I started to do it. And I was like, you're telling me I've lived 27 years of my life and I haven't cared to try to understand black men. I haven't even cared to try. And I would consider myself a really loving person. But for a while, I have been encouraged to invest in only self or understand only self or try to get only for self. And I think that there was this also idea that I already knew him. I already knew everything I needed to know about him. I would study him for what? Get to know it. What is the reason? He's always there.
Man.
What's your opinion on that?
Okay, so first of all, it's funny that she can go that long without attempting to understand black men because that's
27
expected.
years.
Yeah, it's expected in the black community, and that her mindset beforehand is actually championed in certain areas. Like, hey, you don't need to understand black men because they just there, you know, and they did all these wrong things or whatever. But I'm glad that she finally kind of got it, I guess. But sometimes, and this is me kind of taking a step back and not learning to accept black women when they say certain things that sound good to us. What the chat has taught me is like, hey, man, hold on before you place judgment. You know, you got to see how this plays out. And that's sad that I had to think like that now. And I didn't think like that before I got into these spaces. In certain senses, I probably would have leaned more towards like the blue pill type thing where people, you know, you speak about black women. I probably would have said, well, not all black women. You know what I'm saying? So now it's very tough for me to accept certain positives, you know, like the affirmations. I love you, black man. Now I'm like, hold on, what was you saying 5 years ago? You know, and I'm like, it's, and I hate that I had to, I adopted this by being a content creator because as I stated before, very pro-black. I got a black daughter. I'm married to a black wife. So I'm going to listen to their side, but I also have to be mindful because there are black men out there that are trying to date, you know, and I got to be, you know, very mindful for either who I bring on the platform or who I champion, you know. But what you said, it definitely makes sense. So
yeah, and it does. But this is the part that I'm standing on from that perspective. Mm-hmm. People think, a lot of people hear that clip and be like, oh, she's making progress. What I'm hearing is she's done. And this is why I think she's done, because That's like if you have a drug problem. Knowing you have a problem is just the first step.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to keep going to NA meetings, which means that because you've been addicted to this drug so long,
Right.
every day is a struggle. So that woman just admitted that for the rest of her life, it's gonna be a struggle for her to respect black men. Just because she acknowledged it, don't mean she can do it.
Right.
So my thing is, it took you 27 years, because a sister just commented. I want to respond to this comment. She said, what she's saying applies to both groups. Unfortunately, the opposite sex is a utility to the other. The humanity is a race on both sides. The stoicism men exhibit makes it hard to know them. Respectfully, sister, I have to disagree with that. And this is why I think that black men were forced to learn what black women are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we know them more than sometimes we know ourselves, and sometimes more than they know themselves, because we wasn't allowed to not respect the black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that stoicism women see is really collateral damage of men who've been bitten by that hand, by that snake that certain women can be. I think black men know black women very well. I don't think they know us at all. I think they're learning now, but I don't think they ever knew us.
No, that's like you said, I think they're learning now, but with us teaching them about us, it feels like an attack, because now they get to understand what black men want, what we expect. And sometimes black men, I'm gonna be quite frank, about this, we've accepted anything, and I don't think we ask for enough, especially when you look at the statistics. It justifies why I'm saying this, because the narrative has always been that black women are perpetually dating down. When they get with a black man, you got to accept this or accept that. That's not the case. And that's why the stoicism comes in, because I tell black men, if you point out something and you say it, leave it alone. If this woman is not going to accept it, you got to move on. It's no need to sit there and argue with this woman and say, well, sister, you should be getting married, even though you say you don't want marriage and you hate men. You should be like, I'm like, man, I don't have time. I'm sorry. And I tell black men in particular to be more comfortable with compartmentalizing women. When you do that, I promise you will free up more space, and your mental health will be it will greatly appreciate you doing that, because I just never seen the point of arguing with somebody, and this goes for men or women, who believes a certain thing, and you, as a person that they probably don't even respect, now you got to go back and forth with this woman or this man and try and educate them on what you're doing is wrong. Nah, you don't have time. You said it, move on. You know what I'm saying? And leave it at that.
Absolutely. And I want to go slightly back to something you said earlier. We was talking about the jail population. I think the reason why a lot of I'm talking about women specifically. I know both parties say that, but I think the reason why women say most men go to jail, I think it's a telltale sign on themselves, because no, that's just what that's just most of the guys you deal with.
Yeah.
And you're trying to make it seem like that's all men. No, that's all you choose. And like you said, black men, to me, I think our perspectives, not all the time, but for the most part, I think are a more accurate analysis because of the range of black women we deal with.
Right.
Fat, short, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, mama. We deal with all of them because we already have it innate in our mind to accept whatever that come with them. Yeah. They deal with 1 or 2 kind of guys and they make a blanket statement for all of them, but they really dealt with 1 or 2.
Right.
And they may have gave a regular guy a chance, and it never works for him. But the guy that get the years from them be the street dudes. And that's like you just explained, that's the minority of us. It is. They're not the majority. Y'all are dealing with the minority, making children with the minority, but you're making assessments on the majority. And and men that you've never even touched are affected by your narratives. You never even dealt with these men. Mm-hmm. We've dealt with all of y'all. Is there some truth to that?
Yeah, no, and that's expected in our community, I guess, to accept anything. And that's why I was saying black men, we don't ask for enough, especially based off of where we're at today in regards to the statistics, because we do have a choice. We can go into that a little bit more, but there's so much truth to that, to the fact that I've noticed that when I was doing my research and I did the videos on the prison population, I learned that black women are by percentage wise, and the largest group that are willing to accept men who are in prison, and this is statistically proven. And then you go to social media and you couple that with women, black women in particular, saying that the men in jail are doing better than the men outside. They put more pressure, applying more pressure than the men who are outside. And I'm like, well, why would that man even be in your dating pool? You know what I'm saying? It just didn't make sense to me. But, you know, and I know people are like, man, really? You know, you saw this? Like, yeah, man, I got a bunch of videos. I always put the statistics in there in APA format, chronological order. You can do the research for yourself. And it's not, and I'm trying to learn. It's not necessarily me re-educating black women. That's just a particular archetype that they like. And that shouldn't be a surprise to black women because they know it, because you don't get those stories about those types of guys unless you dealt with those types of guys. And that's
be honest, stand on it.
Yeah.
Stand on it. That's
it's like, man, it's cool. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We could talk about it if you're trying to unlearn it, but I promise you this, these new black men, they ain't going for none of that foolery. If they even find out that you dealt with somebody that was of the hood archetype, or you have children by a man who was less than, they not dealing with you. And that's the part that I've been trying to educate black women on. We have a new age of black men. And I don't want to go into the interracial statistics just yet, but I'm pretty sure
that's why I brought you up here, because I got a lot of professional, like my friends is like, whatever they like, I got friends that's like my immediate circle is a lot of street dudes, and I got dudes that's high corporate America, and I got dudes that's like very studious. So it's like the guys that I know that's really getting to it, that's really like getting that STEM money, they are done with our women. They think I'm just trying to be facetious. Like, I'm not playing. They are over that shit. They don't want to hear it, because like I tell men a lot, because, you know, I'm sure you heard this conversation about the body count. How many dudes you been with? This is my response to that. Of course, that's an issue, but I feel like unless I got a Hyman test, I don't know what the fuck you did.
I've mentioned that before.
You know, I don't know. So my issue is this. It's not how many, not saying it's not how many, but I think what's more clear to me to try to figure out is who she was with.
Yeah.
Because like you said earlier, when the sister was talking about something, they putting more pressure. You got to unpack what these women say, because a lot of them are trying to redefine what a man is in their eyes. And it's like, a man is not, when you're dealing with a woman who dealt with a lot of street dudes, she's been exposed to a bastardized version of masculinity.
Right.
So now when you're being stoic and you're being diplomatic, she think you a bitch or you soft, because her last dude was so irrational, so unreasonable,
emotional,
that he just reacts, and she think that's a real man. No, that's an idiot. And then they flip on them too, because as soon as they get into it, oh, you some dumb drug dealer. And what I realize is a lot of our black women like to deal with men that they feel like they're better than, because they can always talk down to you. But if you can't talk down to a medium man or illa, then it's like, oh, he's extra. No, he's just not stupid. And you have to get in line with him. And he's not looking for you for anything. He just wants you to be around because he cares about you. But he's not looking for you for a mother or guidance. And they love them type of dudes because they always feel like they're needed. And how you feel about that?
Yeah, no, and going back to the archetype thing, I learned the term hobosexual in these spaces, right? I did an archetype on that, and there was a lot of men questioning, why did I put that in there? I said, the reason why I put that in here is because that guy is relevant, because he is the guy that you just described. The woman, when she gets with him, she doesn't have to qualify. You know what I'm saying? He don't expect nothing from her other than her coming back home from work, you know what I'm saying, have some sex a little bit, and that's about it. But then once that gets old, then she'll say he was trash. All black men are trash because they dealt with that guy. And that's
that one guy.
That one guy. Now all black men got to feel the brunt of this issue. But then when she brings that baggage from those guys, she brings it to these new black men. They're like, oh, hell no. I'm not upping my masculinity so I can handle you. I mentioned, I was like, I never liked that term when black women use that. You got to handle me. And I'm like, that doesn't sound. Yeah, it's like, that doesn't sound right. You know, and I always tell, especially young women, I tell them that, like, don't say that, because new black men are not dealing with that. You know, and I was watching the Pop the Balloon, and this one girl was like, this guy said that he won't deal with a woman who has, you know, a little bit of baggage or some emotional trauma. And I was like, why should he? Like, what? Why would you expect him to? Because she's already under the impression that black men are supposed to deal with this, you know. And it's like, yeah, like the other girl was like, man, you know, as black men, you supposed to accept single mothers and y'all supposed to be stepfathers and stepsons, like you supposed to. And I'm like, God, dog, like, man, it's so that's why I was telling black men, like, you guys don't ask for enough, you know. And real quick, I call it the that ass though theory, right? Black men, we are more apt to like a woman with a little bit more meat on their bones, and that's been studied as well, right? Mm-hmm. Black women feel more comfortable in their skin, no matter what weight they are, among any race of females. But black men contribute to that as well, because this woman could be obese, but that ass though, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we'll accept that. So now when you get new black men complaining about black women being overweight, I'll show them an 80s video. I'm like, you see that guy right there? He just said that, nah, man, black men supposed to accept black women at any weight. That's why we get these conversations. And that's why you see black women like, what you mean you don't like women who are overweight? Because it's expected, you know? So.
Exactly. And what I also noticed that a lot of times women always say, I had a good daddy. I had a good, when you really get a peek into that relationship, your father was a pushover and he let your mother say whatever the fuck she wanted to say. And now you're trying to tell us what a good man looked like. And that's not what a good man looked like. And I got my own little thing I made up where I call it the Thought Witness Protection Program. What am I talking about? You know how when you go into witness protection program, you get a new identity, you get a new name. Mm-hmm. What I like to call a witness protection program is when she starts picking, and I don't have no problem with astrology, none of that. I'm a very wide open thinker. Mm-hmm. But when they start picking up them tarot cards, and they think that because they got some sage and some incense, some shea butter, and a turban, that they could wash away years of just being outside. It's like, nigga, no, you can't. Like, no, you can't re-engineer yourself. Like if they go, it's like how you go from just mother of 6 to all of a sudden you are a healer. Like, no. And I see that far too much out here. Right. It's like just own what you are and grow. You know what I'm saying? Like you've made some mistakes. And men don't have to deal with what you've done. And I think, and I know you mentioned the interracial thing. I think for men our age, I'm starting to think that because it's to the point where I think we got to get past the place where we may be at a place with our specific generation where romance may not be in a question. We need to figure out how to just coexist at this point.
Right.
Because it's just, I just don't see it coming back like how it should. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And I think that what's happening is, can we learn how to be friends? Because we obviously don't having trouble being lovers. So can we at least coexist as you're my sister, you're my brother? Because you can't, and I think in dating, period, our people, not just our people, people, period, they don't really know how to build a friendship with a woman and man. You have to be friends first. We just see, are you cute enough? You make enough money? Let's start having sex now, in a relationship. And then when you have an issue where you need some depth from the person, or you need some emotional intelligence, they don't have it because you never required it in the beginning. You learn that in the friend stage.
Yeah.
How you feel about that, brother?
No, and that I talk about that. I've been focusing on that even more. And I see that one of my guys, Will, he just sent you a bomb, that $50 bomb.
I'm gonna get to the
he can attest to this. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I tell black men to just be social, you know, not necessarily talking to women to get their number or trying to holler at them. When you see them in the street, you know, say hey, or if you're waiting for a donut and you see this black woman there, you like, you been here before? Oh man, which one is the best? You know, just talking. So like you said, just being friendly, building up that friendship aspect, because I think that's what's missing in these conversations. Like, you know, me, I'm a very, and this may be a little bit prejudiced of me, I am very cordial with black folks. So I mean, when I see black people, I'm happy. When I walk past a black man, it's never just the head nod. I'm like, hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing? For one, it's a disarming tactic that I learned from the military. You know, look a person in the eye, speak to them. So if they do something, then they'd be like, oh, that's the good guy. You know what I'm saying? So, but also I'm like, hey man, you know, how you doing? What's going on? You know, I'm always like that. So I try and help black men understand that aspect of just being nice. But I will say this: it is very tough when you have black women going on social media saying, "Hey, don't talk to me in the grocery store," and I'm like, "What shit?" I'm like, so these guys looking at me like, man, you telling us to say hi to I'm like, man, what I'm supposed to do? So
and they got the nerve. Like I was on a panel the other day, and I heard two goofy things. First, so one woman said, her man, who she not with no more, but her child's father could. Like she said, yeah, he didn't. He was working off and on for 17 years, but he could run circles around most men. That don't even make sense.
That don't even Jesus.
That don't even, he can't run circles around you. How he gonna run circles around us? That's for one. Two. So I was talking to him about a woman I met. I was dating a woman in Spain. I was about to marry her and everything. And when my mother passed, and I was going through something with my daughter, which shows me that
recent?
Oh, this was this year. My mother died.
Sorry to hear that, man. Yeah.
Died right in my arms, bro.
Wow.
Right in the gym of my building upstairs, and that's kind of why I kind of haven't even been to the like. I work out my apartment, but every time I go to the gym, like I just see her, like you know what I'm saying. Very dramatic situation. So, but she kind of left me high and dry during that time. So I'm explaining to this black woman, like like giving her example of how when you need a woman emotionally, and it wasn't even a black one, she was Spanish. So the show is not just a black thing. So it's like when I needed her to be there emotionally, she wasn't there. Because I have a theory where I feel like a lot of women give you their body, but like today's woman to give you their body before they give you their mind. Yeah. Like back in the day, you have sex with a girl, you couldn't get rid of her. Yeah, she'll tell you, you're my boyfriend now. I don't care what you think. That shit ain't nothing to them now. They'll give you head before they give you some respect, which is an oxymoron. Because for some reason they think, I just had sex with you. You ain't no butts after that. That's ball game. It's just that we want more than that, but technically that's game. Yeah. Like your mouth was just on me. Yeah. And you think like we did it outside and everything. And all of a sudden you don't want to talk to me no more. Cool, shorty, but you look absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. The joke is always on you. So I said that to say a lot of these women, they don't have. So I was talking about the situation with my mother and how shorty had left me. The first thing she said after what all I said was, "Oh, so you a passport, bro? Fuck that. My mother died. Forget the fact that I was stressed from that. Forget the fact that I loved this person and they left me during a vulnerable time. All you heard was the fact that I had a passport. Of course I do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because to be honest, the first person to kick off the passport shit, if I'm not mistaken, there was a movie called How Stella Got Her Groove Back. Remember that shit? That was the first passport expedition I seen go mainstream ever, and that was by a woman. So now that we got passports, it's like, man, we gonna get to that. Let me ask you a question. What truth about men do you think women are not ready to hear yet?
What truth? Man, I would say, I guess how practical men are. Like sometimes we can be very, very simple. It don't take much, And I think, sometimes we overcomplicate these dating conversations when a lot of men are just, happy with respect, especially black men. Like, damn, man, just at least, respect me at the very least. Don't talk to me like this, so I got to get rid of you.
Be accountable.
Yeah, it's just we're very practical people, and it's, and I just think that sometimes women, well, in our community, would just get out of their own way and stop thinking a certain way and trying to make it seem like all black men are a monolith. I think that would help them out a lot. And you start working with these black men who actually want to work with you. One of the biggest battles that I have with black men on my platform, when we talk about the marriage rates and interracial marriage, they want to date black women. They want to marry black women. And I would love for them to marry and date black women. However, it is tough to work with the women that are on the dating market. I could work with the guys, but when I'm telling black men, hey, do this, try and do this to build yourselves up or whatever. But they have a battle with just saying, I'm going to just get my passport and go find a woman overseas. No, they want to stay here. I've done multiple videos about, well, what about the black men are staying here? Because those are the majority. A lot of men do have their passports, but they don't want to go overseas. They want to stay here and they want to date and or marry black women. But they have a tough time partnering with those black women. So I won't say that they're forced to date outside their race, but they are forced to expand their options. If
I'm gonna say it. They forced.
Yeah,
They are forcing them. They forced them, man.
It's
Because
very
like
tough.
I said, this is a quote that I made up. Women will sacrifice being happy to be right, and men will sacrifice being right to be happy.
Mhm.
And I think that's what we're seeing right now. I think in our heart of hearts, we want to be with our women.
Yeah, no, and
But
this
it's
is what
just
I'm saying.
hard
We
as
want
hell,
to-
bro.
Man, I promise you that is the toughest battle that I have with black men that I speak to offline when I do the consults. They aren't comfortable with just going out there and dealing with the white woman or a Hispanic woman. And the funny thing is, the guys that actually say that, they are typically the guys that attract all women. So if they wanted to, it would be easy. It's like, hey man, this woman treat me right. She bought, one dude, he's a lawyer in New York. He's been on TV a couple times. I did a consult with this dude. This dude's a millionaire. And he's like, bro, this Hispanic woman, I work with her. She keep bringing me, food that she cooked at her house, for like breakfast and stuff. And he's like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this because, I want to marry a black woman and it's a struggle, and I can't, in my heart of hearts, I cannot say that, man, I'm so pro-black. You need to, stick with it. You need to do what you need to do. I'm not stupid. I see what's going on in society. So it'd be dumb of me to be like, hey, man, you got to break through this wall in order to get to.
Because we got enough against us.
It's very tough, man. And I can't do that. Like I'll be very disingenuous if I said that. And the funny thing is, you hear the opposite from black women. They say, hey, we need to expand our options because we got these white men that want us. And then I'm looking at the statistics. Nothing's changed. It's just them promoting this somewhat lifestyle.
They don't want them like that.
But black men can actually expand their options and do it. And they are doing it. And as I say this to the black community, I think you guys need to be mindful of what's going on out here in the marriage market, because the current trend analysis, it actually says that black men are about to increase their marriage rates to 40% by 2027. 40%. We've been having a slow climb back up. But to compare that, black women are expected to decrease. So who are those black men marrying? They're marrying other races of women. And one of the main talking points, and you've probably heard this before, black people will say, well, the black men who are married, they're married to black women at an 85% clip. That was in 2017. Currently, it's 21%. Because 21%, that means 1 out of every 5 black men who are married to a non-black woman. And that's over a period of 10 years that this happened. So if you couple that with the trend analysis, you can see that black men still want marriage and they are getting married. They're just not marrying black women. And it's not because they're overlooking black women just because. It's because of the fact that black women are saying we don't want marriage. And I told black men specifically, I was like, stop quoting that false statistic about 3 out of 4 black women will never marry. 3 out of 4 black women possibly don't want marriage. And that's what you need to understand. And also, another reason why I told black men to stop quoting that, and I know this was popularized by Kevin Samuels. He would say 3 out of 4 black women will never marry. That's false. I show black men that because if you're fact checked, people are going to say, no, that was from a Johns Hopkins study from the late 2000s where they surveyed black women 25 to 29. And they were projecting that those group of women, 3 out of 4 will never marry. It was a projection. It wasn't a statistic, right? So I told black men that stop quoting that because it's not true. Currently, 54% of black women have ever been married. Currently, 29% are married, but 54% have been married at some point, divorced, separated, widowed. So that's an actual statistic. But, and this may shock you, the pushback that I got was from those same black men. Because why? They were used to saying that statistic. So when I say it's wrong and I show it to them, they got upset. Just like who? Black women. You see what I'm saying? So that's the problem that I run with on my page as well. Because of the fact that I do advocate for black men so much, a lot of responsibility comes with that. I hold black men to a very high standard, especially with the way that they speak in my chat, the way that they interact with me. Because if I come up here, I'm not disrespecting you. If I see you, another black man, talking mess about me in my own chat, You really think that's gonna fly? You got to go, because I don't want that here. And if you're not gonna listen to reason, and I'm telling you, so you won't look stupid out there, then you got to accept that, because sometimes people just don't want to be wrong. And I'm just trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? So
And you
it's
said
tough.
something key. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you good.
But nah, you said something key, because like I said, when I challenge a lot of these big time content creators, supposedly, they talk all this shit about women, but as soon as you disagree with them and show objectivity, they turn into the same girls. They turn into the same girls. I mean, it's like immediately, it's like you sound just like a girl. So it's like it's crazy. But like I be telling these cats, like I'll be telling a lot of female friends I got, I'm like, yo, black men is tired, bro.
Yeah. I
They're
just
just
mentioned
tired.
that, man. They are tired, and I get to hear it in real time.
We got a lot of problems. We tired. We just want to be happy, man. And
Yeah.
it's like if anybody proved that they love black women, it's us. And I feel like the most emotionally intelligent man in America is the black man, because we had to be.
Mhm.
You gotta act a certain way at work. You gotta act a certain way in the hood. You gotta understand how to deal with so many different people. So our natural disposition, it travels well, not yours. I've seen women go overseas end up getting arrested because that black girl magic. I'ma talk. The motherfuckers will kill you overseas, like for real though.
You know
Like,
what's
not
funny,
just
real
incarcerate
quick, and I hate
you,
to
they will hurt
interrupt you, man.
No, go
I
ahead.
know
It's
you
your
see.
turn. You can guess. Go ahead.
No, on that point, I had just left because every year I go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. My brother works out there, so I go there. I go to the Grand Mosque and I pray, and I stay with him for about 2 weeks. But I had just left the Middle East, visiting him, and that was when that girl got arrested, the black woman that got arrested in Dubai. And I was like, man, I was just there. And I was like, man, you can't bring that to that country. They don't play. She got off lucky. They actually let that woman go. Typically, they don't let them go after a certain period of time. You got to serve a little bit of time. I was like, man, and that's when I did a live stream on how to carry yourselves in these different countries. I've been to 54 of them. So I'm like, hey, you cannot do this here. You need to watch this, certain things. And I'm speaking specifically to black women, because I've seen an influx of them going overseas and getting in trouble, and I don't want to see that, because I know how they treat females over there.
What they about to realize is that the only person who really wants you is the person that you're rejecting the most, and that's us. They're gonna wake up and realize, yo, no one else really know how to handle y'all and deal with y'all but us. You know that, right? Other men ain't dealing with that shit. They smacking the shit out they women. They going ham on them. They're not dealing with the shit that y'all think we're accepting. They're just not going to do it. And you're going to wake up and look and realize that the only man that really cares and understands is the one that you're repulsed by. So I don't know if they're ready for it. But let me get back to this question, because I can just talk to you all day. Do modern conversations reward clarity or emotional alignment?
That's definitely emotional alignment. And sometimes there's so many spaces where you could gain clarity on these conversations. And I'm just speaking from past experiences when I did, because I did used to watch some of the panel shows, right? Because they were entertaining. But then I was like, man, when I came to the conclusion that some of these people weren't paid, I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was entertaining, but it's so many spaces, as I stated before, some of the panelists are very educated. And I'm like, man, that was a perfect point where you could have used that education to clarify this particular point that was false by this person, or that was, misunderstood by this person. But instead, it turns into an emotional battle to where I need to get my point across, and I'm going to overlook everything you're saying. If it was if there was more listening, I guess, I think that would help a lot. Because I pick up on certain things when I just kind of sit back. And that's why I think for me personally, for one, I protect my mental health at all costs. Seen a lot of shit in the military. So, what I'm saying? So I used to jump out of planes for a living. So it's cool that I get to sit here and I get to relax. So when I used to watch the panel shows, it was like, man, y'all are smart. You could talk about this and have a great conversation, but the emotional aspect of it and trying to stand your ground, because it is televised, so to speak, people feel that heat, and you don't want to look like, something, what people call a sucker, are, you know, a bitch or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I got to make sure I say this so I don't have to go back to my platform and they talk mess about me, you know? So it's very tough. But you probably have more knowledge on that than me, you know, because you actually participate. So just based off of my limited
when I say
knowledge
the
of
conversation, I don't mean just like online. Like I'm just
Yeah.
talking about the conversation just in general. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and I have some of it offline. Like one of my closest friends, I've had her on the show before. She has a different opinion. She's actually a feminist, right? And we was served in the military before. We've been friends for like it's going on almost 20 years now. But it's not to the point where she gonna sit there and talk some crazy mess. No, we understand each other. You'd be surprised who you befriend, you know, when you're sitting in a defensive fighting position with somebody for like 14 hours a day. You know, some of my best friends are white guys. I was in their wedding, you know, they're godfathers to my child, you know, things like that. So it's just, I don't know. And sometimes it's very tough for me to listen to certain conversations when I know that there is room for improvement and there's also room for understanding, especially on the panel shows. I think people should take that a little bit more serious because we are Black people for one, and we are educated Black people as well. So I would love for them to display that aspect of all the education that they say that they have and utilize it. Put it to some good use. So
exactly. Like I'm more self-educated. I didn't go to college.
Mhm.
People be like shocked, but nah, I'm just
I mean, honestly, I would have swore that you had went to school for the religious stuff. Because I sit back and listen.
Hard knocks.
I've only met one other person that has been able to have a conversation like you and DJ Hamp had, and that's one of my close friends, Travis, and then one of my other close friends, Franklin. He was very educated. He was actually the guy. Yeah, he was actually the guy that got me into Black history. I literally took a course when I was in college just so I could have a better conversation with him. You know, and so because I didn't have no reason. They used to call me True Blue because I'm Air Force through and through, man. The world's greatest Air Force. Love it. Does so much for me and my family. But I had to, I was like, hey, man, I need to learn about this stuff. So he's the one that got me into that. So I was definitely impressed. And I keep going back to that. And I rarely do this, but I'm telling you, we were sitting there listening to that back and forth. And we was like, man, you know what I'm saying? At some point, I'm going to be able to get to the level that these brothers are on this particular topic. But that was very impressive, man.
I appreciate that. But nah, it's all from observation and just self-study, bro. Like I don't have no college degree, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you for saying that. Do you believe men and women are having the same conversation or parallel one?
Nah, it's definitely different because I hang out in female spaces the most, and this may be a little bit backhanded to me. I go to those female spaces to learn about the lies that they're about to tell on Black men. And that's that's how I found out that they were lying about Black men being in nursing homes the most. That's how I found out that they were saying that Black women were out educating Black men by so many percentage points. So I typically will peek my head in there to see. And what I've learned, what our women are talking about, is typically centered around what men are doing wrong. And then they'll kind of circle back around to how to get money from those same men. And with the guys, it is a little bit of some improvement. Hey man, you need to do this, get to the bag or whatever. But also sometimes, and I will be honest about this, the guys do spend too much time on the women. Sometimes I think they care too much about a woman's opinion on what a man is. And I'm like, I've never moved like that. I've never moved to the fact that if this woman thinks that this is cool, then I'm supposed to do what she says. And I see that a lot from men in these spaces.
I ain't listen to my mama, rest in peace. I ain't listen to her. So it's like I definitely listen to no girl. Because a lot of times a woman, what I realize in the Black community, they're raising their sons to be compatible for another woman's power.
Yeah.
It's like it's a code they got. Keep him in line so when my daughter get to him, he already know what time. Like they're preparing men for other women's daughters. Right. They're not preparing you to rule. Like I feel like the way they raise the girls is how they should have raised us. I feel like not literally, but a man need to be raised as a ruthless accomplisher. because women can say, I don't like that. They're going to come regardless.
Yeah.
You got to be ruthless and you got to be about conquering and ruling. Like that guy, not saying you need to be this mean person, but just subconsciously, that has to be your driving force. And she need to be taught how to behave. But we the ones that know how to behave, and they are just the go-getters, aggressive, assertive. And it's like, it's just the shit.
Yeah, it starts with the black men. It always starts with us. I could care less about, you know, what the women are doing, because I've seen some guys complaining about, well, black women got black girl magic. I'm like, brother, what you doing? Why are you worried about what they got going on? You supposed to be focused on what you got going on, and you need to start building. And honestly, I think we've exhausted all the conversations about women, you know, for the most part. And I think we need to start talking about the men. And I'm going to give you a perfect example.
But their mind is made up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's what, you know, we've already learned. So I'm like, hey, man, I tell guys, you got to learn how to compartmentalize women, bro. If she's telling you who she is, believe her. Don't argue and say, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But in regards to black men in particular, one of my biggest issues that I have on my platform is that the whole high value thing. Let's start there, right? When Kevin Samuels brought that up, it was actually a great 6 pillars of, you know, things that you need to, I guess, implement in your life.
For that
right?
too. So funny that you
So, you know, when you talk about that, one of my biggest issues that I had is that there were a lot of black men running out there saying, well, as soon as I hit a certain age, I'm just going to become high value and earn all this money. And I put things into perspective and I said, hey, even the guys that's 55, 65 years old, the majority of them are making $100,000. The guys that actually make that type of money when they're older, they started working for it when they were younger. That received pushback when I told guys that Kevin Samuels used to say, winter is coming. And I tell guys, summer is coming, because that's the equivalent of you being that guy at the pool that's wearing a t-shirt, out of shape, titties hanging. You know what I'm saying? So you need to get to it while you're younger, because you're not just going to become high value when you get older, because you're not going to have the energy to do so, for one, and you're not going to be ready to, you shouldn't be chasing young women at that age unless you've built something while you are young. That's when you have your most ambition. And it's a study. But one of the things that guys lean on is like, oh man, Rick Ross get chicks and he fat. I'm like, brother, that dude is a millionaire. I was like, why would you lean your plan on becoming some millionaire at the age of 45, 50 years old? Brother, you got to work. The majority of people that are able to live lives that they want to when they're younger and not be Walmart greeters when they're 65 are the guys that got to it when they were younger. And that's what you need to do. And I tell black men this all, especially the young guys. I don't want them to rely on thinking that they're going to hit the jackpot when they're 45 and become a millionaire. That rarely happens. And so when I say that, it's like you're slighting, you know, that men don't have a wall. Men do absolutely have a wall, and it's called age and ambition. You're going to lose it when you get older. And then also you can couple that with, if you're not taking care of your health, what's going to happen then? You really going to get out there and try and make this $1 million plan work? It's very tough. So with me trying to protect the black male ethnic image, again, a lot of responsibility comes with that. I could care less about what the women are doing. I care about what black men are doing. And a lot of guys, they understand it, but they're not ready to accept the responsibilities that come with being the leaders of the black community. Yes, black men are the leaders of the black community, and that's why I do not align with guys who say that we are living under a matriarchy. I did a video about this explaining that we could never be a matriarchy because, for one, we're not the dominant society, and two, black men contribute too much to the black community to be considered a matriarchy. It's just not possible at all. So that's one of the points that is a sticking point in these spaces, because it's been a talking point for so long. I think the black community just thinks because black women are so loud, that means that they have the positions of the power. No, there's more black men in Congress. There's more black men, millionaires, billionaires. There's more black men with businesses, industrial businesses. Black men control the black community. Just because black women, 29% of them, 29.3% of black women over the age of 25 have a bachelor's degree or higher. But 22% of black men have a bachelor's degree or higher. And in both gender groups, we are equally yoked. Black men rank third, black women rank third. So it's not this old thing where black women are just going to college and just killing black men. No, we are equally yoked in that. So when I tell black men, yo, when you say that we are living in a matriarchy, I'm going to start with your household. Do you live under your woman's rule? No. And then I ask another black man, you think it's a matriarchy? Is your household a matriarchy? No. I'm like, so why are you going out there spewing this information, brother? It makes no sense. And it's a slap in the face to all of the efforts that black men do for the black community that go unnoticed because we're not loud. Black men in some ways are very stoic. Sometimes we can be very conservative. I'll say that much. And we need to speak up more. And that's why we have these platforms.
Absolutely. I want to shout out the super chats real quick. Thank y'all for the super chats. I did not forget y'all. Just that the brother's such a eloquent guest, and I ain't want to cut his wisdom, but I'm definitely going to show love to the super chats. I appreciate him. Shout out to Shane.
Yes,
Lee
Dante Bryant. I don't know why it shows up like that, but that's Dante Bryant. So.
Oh, okay. Shout out to brother Dante. He said brother Philosophical and brother Double M. Appreciate you, brother. Sister Jamie with the $20 super sticker. Appreciate you, Jamie. Jamie been showing love. She been popping. I gotta get you a wrench, because she been showing love consistently. I really appreciate you, Jamie. The brother came back and doubled back with the $10 holler. He said, yeah, it started post-slavery when the man would work to pay for black women's education, so they didn't have to work for Miss Ann and deal with Mr. Cartwright sneaking into their chambers. I hear that. Brother Dark Knight with the $5 holler. Stuart D Knight off the shout out to that brother. And my brother, the Will to Excel Fire Conversation Gentleman. I appreciate that, brother, with the $50 holler. That's what I'm talking about. Please, y'all, keep supporting the channel. I appreciate it, brother. I need a new camera. You already know we ain't passing no trash basket.
Donation. It's a donation. I thought it was a trash. Don't be hitting on me.
You already know what time it is, so keep them coming. I appreciate it. We're going to get back to the conversation. So, my brother, I'm not going to hold you too much longer, but I definitely want to pick your brain just a little bit more. Who benefits most from this gender conflict continuing, in your opinion?
Man, I would say, I guess, big society. Like it's a lot of money involved in, false narratives. I don't know if you remember, like, I think it was maybe about a month ago, they found out there were a lot of fake accounts from different countries that were starting gender wars, like presenting themselves as black people, and then they would drop a bomb.
Not just that. I seen a show like maybe a year ago, where they had like a secret government. I don't know, it's a secret. It's like a segment of the CIA or something in the government, where not only would they start gender war stuff, but they would literally target certain communities and send bots there to just incite conversation based on the metric of the psychology of that region. Like, it's real. Like, they really just be stirring up problems. And people think it's a game. Like, this stuff because a lot of times I see little comments, and that's why people are like, oh, you just gotta let people just say whatever. Nah, I move just like the European move. You can't, when you run up, you can't just run up in the synagogue and say what you want to say. You can't just go in a presidential consultation, or when they a presidential address, or a senator speaking. When you talk, even in church, when you go too much, they escort your ass out. The dictatorship over here. You come on my show saying something crazy, like I had some white boy call into my show. I gave him like four. I get him. I said, listen, I don't know you. I don't know where you come from, so I'm gonna tell you right now. If you come here to troll, I said, if you want to give pushback, I have no problem with that. I said, but if you come here to troll or some weird shit, I'm going to drop the shit out you, bro. And he just kept talking, and I just dropped. Like, I'm not playing. I don't need no highlight clippable viral. I done did the viral thing without trying. I'm not trying to, if I go viral again, great. But I'm not going out my way to have some crazy ass conflict with somebody. If you're not contributing to the exact dialogue that we're having in a respectful way, you're getting the hell up out of here. I'm not, because I think everybody don't need to be heard. I don't care. Like,
that's
if you got the power to control, that's what the system do. They have shows that are syndicated. You can't just say what you want to say So why can you say what you want to say here? No, I'm working propaganda. The propaganda I'm working is positive. They push narratives and they restrict narratives that they want out there. I'm doing the same thing. If
Right.
I don't think you make sense, I'm not letting you talk on my channel. Go find somebody else's channel to say whatever you want to say on. I'm filtering and controlling everything over here. This is a dictatorship, point blank, period. I don't care what nobody say. So
Yeah,
that's
man, you sound you sound like me. And one of the way I describe it to especially black men, because what I learned when I first started, being a little bit more critical about who comes to the chat is that, and I'm gonna point to black women about this. It would be a black woman and she would say something hyperbolic about black men, and then I learned that every black man would swarm on that comment, and now their mental health is all effed up because they're trying to go at this woman who knew what she was doing. So I was like, look, I'm gonna try and protect black men's mental health by not allowing this to happen. And then it got to the point where I had to start doing that because there were some trolls that would come in here. And it's no slight to anybody else, but I always tell black men, if you feel that it's necessary to insult, to curse, to call black women out their name in somebody chat, I promise you, there are thousands of places on social media where they allow that. Just not here. It's not going to be here. And I'm like, don't feel any type of way because I'm a small content creator. So if you get blocked by me, of course, there was a reason. But I'm telling you, if you have to get that off, you can find a space where they allow that. And like I said, I'm indifferent. They could do whatever they want, but it just won't happen on my platform.
Happen here.
So
what's hard to say? You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here, bro. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not playing that game with you. I'm using the power of my influence I got the power to let any message go on my channel. Why would I give your ignorant ass some airtime? I'm not contributing to nothing positive by letting you speak. I can judge and say, do this person make sense? Yes, I'm making that judgment call on my page. If I think you're an idiot, you're not going to talk. And I'm going to drop you mid-conversation if you say something stupid. I don't care, bro.
Yeah, that's honestly how I run. And it's a very, I have a lot of reasons for that. But I just tell guys, just look at how I carry myself up here, man. Do you see me cursing people out and things like that, brother? We trying to, because sometimes my chat, they'll ask for like niche shows. Sometimes I'm educated in certain areas. Like I did a etiquette course. And they were like, man, how do you know about it? I was like, brother, when you work at the Pentagon, you have all these types of courses that you have to go through. And I just so happened to have to go through an, dining etiquette course. And they were like, I want to learn. So I did a show on that. And it takes me out of the algorithm. You know how it works. But I'm like, hey, man, if this is what y'all want, cool. So we sat there and we learned together. I, taught them what I know. And some guys was like, yeah, man, I tried it out when I went out on a date, and it got better results. The dating thing is funny to me. I didn't get a chance to clip it up because I was working, but I did an interview or a review of a situation where we had this black doctor. He's actually about to be an anesthesiologist, one of the most important jobs in the hospital, right? He made a story time about 2 black women trying to finesse him out of $57. I was like, brother, you a doctor. It's like, why would you make it? It was funny as hell because I didn't understand. But then I took a step back and I was like, well, maybe he's been listening to these social media conversations and it's like, get him for this girl, get him for that. But I was like, $57? Like, brother, it's not that serious. But it was hilarious. And I'm going to clip it up tomorrow if I have time. But yeah, man, it was just confusing to me because the dating market, from what both men and women tell me, it's like, of course, people trying to win, but they're not trying to give as much. Like, I think that the thing is men want to get sex without investing too much, and women want men to invest without giving
their body.
Yeah. And so, and of course, that's why they call it the dating game. You know how it goes, but when you become serious, it's gonna, like I tell the guys, it's gonna be a time where you're gonna cut a lot of women off, because you're trying to find a marriageable woman. And at some point, real quick, man, everybody was like, man, you should do a dating show. And I was like, oh, well, I'll see what I could do. So I created this platform. I put together a program and I was like, okay, cool. I want to vet these women just to make sure that I don't get foolery on the show. You know what I'm saying? So when we tried to do that and do the recruiting process, I found some, beautiful young women, right? But then I would go to their social media platform, everything out, naked. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man, I can't bring you on the show because the first thing that the guys are going to do is go to your social media page, see that you know, twerking or your booty out, and then they're going to be like, okay, she's useful to the group. This is not a wife. I'm like, well, I can't do it. And I know everything is kind of monetizable these days. And that's what I learned about the younger women. It's like, well, what I do on my, what they said is like, what I do on my social media page, that's not me. Like, how we know that? Like, you know, it's like, how we know that? So yes, it does reflect you. So they want men to see them half naked, but it's like, nah, that's not how I am in real life. Well, it is you. So yeah, it was very tough. So I think I'm gonna try and speed it back up. I got a marketer that's going to do the recruiting for me, but I just wanted to be very respectful, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man, it's tough out here. They keep doing this to my camera. It's tough out here. Because even at my age, I'm still trying to learn new things outside of content. Like I'm trying to get into the STEM field. Like I work in like a project management type of field, but I'm trying to get into STEM myself at my age. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still trying to add more skills. I'm trying to get into cybersecurity or networking or something like that. So yeah. I'm always trying to add and better myself. Cause like when you was talking, it's like it hit home. Cause when I was young, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 23, I was already married with a child with somebody who already had a child, and I ain't have nothing. You know what I'm saying? And but I thought in my mind that this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be getting a black woman, and I ain't had shit. So I know how it feels to not have that right information, because they'll just tell us, they just told my generation, go to church, go to school. But go to school for what though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like what we don't study what are the in-demand fields. Like we go to school for emotional reasons, like some goofy shit like African American studies. And it's like, yo, you could learn that shit in the house. You can just buy some books to learn about that shit. You need to learn stuff that's gonna be high paying, in-demand skills from the future. And I don't think we had those conversations with our generation in mass like that. That's why at best, cats do what you did, go to the army, go to armed forces. Like when I was young, bro, I knew I had a lot of I knew knowledge. I knew some black, like I started learning about knowledge itself and black history. But as far as like career wise and where to go, I lost a lot of years I'll never get back because I didn't have that information. So you know, you said was very important.
What I've learned about, because being in the military, you're kind of away from, you know, like the black history aspect of it, unless you're studying that, right? But once I got older and I started studying that type of, you know, information, I tend to understand people who we consider like very pro-black, are the pro-black leaders of the black community, and why sometimes they consider those people angry. Because if you have all that knowledge about all the shit that they did to us for all them years, you ain't got no choice but to be angry, man. Because I got it. It was, I can't remember the book, but it was
especially
a book.
If your life is a product of what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
My mother messed up or something like this. Like, yo, I'm literally living the stereotype and the narrative that they created. You goddamn right, I'm mad.
Yeah, and that's when, and I'm a little bit more understanding, because these are the types of people that either, you know, did the, you know, studying on their own, like you, are the people that actually went to school and they studied this, so they have all the knowledge of what was done to black people in the past. So of course they're going to be angry when they see certain things happening, because I only caught a little bit of what they read or saw or learned in one book. And I was telling my chat, I can't find it, but my homeboy who studies this, it was a book where they cataloged the different, you may know what it is, they cataloged the different contraptions that they used to put on black slaves. Have you seen that book where it's like
no sanctuary?
Where they have the etchings and you can see the pictures of like these spike collars and shit.
It pictures like lynchings and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the book is called No Sanctuary.
Man, I was like, oh my God. I was like, yo, you know, and then, you know, me going to school, you know, in the medical field, we had to study, you know, on certain areas, gynecology, because I used to work in the fetal protection program. And with studying gynecology, I learned that black slaves were operated on to get some of the modern medicine that we have in regards to that. And that's why they think black women can tolerate pain more than other races of women. And that's why I'm very mindful when a Black woman says that she's pregnant. I always tell them, hey, you need to make sure that your doctor understands that you are no different. You know what I'm saying? So when you have an issue, go to the hospital. Don't try and tough it out, or don't let them send you off and be like, oh no, it's just this. It's just no. And that's, in me being in the medical field, it's actually one of the black eyes that we have in our medical community because we allowed that stuff to happen to Black women. Same thing with the Tuskegee experiment. You know,
You ever read that book, Medical Apartheid?
yeah, of course. Of course. I actually did a small piece of it on my live stream or whatever when I was talking about Henrietta Lacks and all the stuff.
Henrietta Lacks.
Yeah.
Oh,
So and I tried, I was telling them, when you go through, certain, classes or courses through public health, you have to study all this type of stuff because the United States, the public health field was the one that did the Tuskegee experiment, which is one of the black eyes of my career field. So I have to learn this stuff. And when I went down that rabbit hole, it was I'm not gonna lie, it was very tough to stomach, man. I was like, God, dog, they used to.
And it get even deeper. I got a book, bro, called Mummies, Cannibals, and Vampires: The History of Corpse Medicine in the Renaissance Era. They was eating Negroes back then.
Oh yeah, I'm reading The Delectable Negro right now, man. So
they said they would eat us mummies. They would crush. I mean, this is the Renaissance. This is at the height of European Enlightenment. They was eating black people for medicinal purposes. And they said it was used from the poorest to the richest of communities all the way into the Victorian era. And when you understand history, because people think so much time is when you understand history from a macro, that's not that long ago.
Yeah.
When you really understand history from even the Bible said a day is 1,000 years to the Lord. Mm-hmm. So time is it ain't these eras that you think is so old, it's not that old.
Yeah, it's not.
If you think it is, you need to study it, because when you go to countries, most of the things that are preserved and most of the things that are the standards and the fabrics of the cultures of the society are old. They're not new. It's old statues, old relics, old constitutions, old beliefs, old information. History is most of the most amazing things that happen in this planet already happened already. Mm-hmm. So history still holds precedence of why people aren't keep going, because of their answers to the past. So for some reason, we like to just throw history away. It's like, no, this world is ran based on ancient rules, not modern, whether you know it or not. But I don't want to hold you too much longer, bro. I want to finish this with just questions about you personally and your legacy.
Yeah.
What responsibility comes with having an audience that listens?
The biggest responsibility I have is the Black fatherhood conversation. That's something that I've tied myself to and actually did a documentary on that I put out on Christmas. And I told people to watch that with their families, because of one of the main reasons why I focus on that is twofold. Black women have been, are thought to believe that the majority of Black men are deadbeat fathers, but also Black men are somewhat scared to understand that if I'm telling you that the majority of you guys are in the households, that does not mean the brunt of the responsibility for what the Black community is falls on you, right? So for example, if I say, because the narrative in these male-centric spaces is that everything is to blame for, the Black family is in shambles because of the Black single mother, right? So what that means is that if the majority of kids are growing up in single mother households, then that places the blame on Black women specifically because of that reason. And then we got all these YNs running rampant and they're terrorizing the community. But with context, I help Black men understand that if I'm telling you statistically that 55% of Black fathers are living with their children, whether married or co-residential, that does not mean that you guys are responsible for the YNs, because guess what? I just came back from Chicago. That's one of the main conversations that we have. Chicago is so messed up. There are about 77 communities in the city of Chicago. Only about 8 to 10 of them are affected by the issues that we see on TV in the regards to the Black men, right?
Yeah, that's a small area, because I've been in Chicago. That area that's all that happened, that's a very small area.
It's a very small area.
Different Bob over there.
Yeah, so when I talk about that, I put things into the proper context. And then we go to the schooling. People say, well, Black kids are doing so poorly in the school, in schools. It's not true. Our graduation rates is about 89%, But with context, I can explain that we have room for improvement because the average graduation rate is about 90 to 92%. You see what I'm saying? So yes, we can still have the conversation and say that, yeah, we have some room for improvement, but don't go running out there saying that all these black kids are struggling in school because of single mothers or because of the broken households. No, it's not true. So when I'm giving you this information, I hold black men to a higher standard to stop relying on that deadbeat dad narrative, because you are literally spitting in the face of all these black dads that are actually involved in their children's lives, of the majority of black fathers. So one thing that we as black men have to do is stop saying or stop giving praise when you see a black man doing what he's supposed to do with his children. That's normal. I'm not the only person to say that. Josh Leves, he has a book called All In. He's a Jewish man. He did this book and he went around this, the country doing these lectures at schools where he was literally telling people it is not true that black men don't take care of their children. But in the black community, we are so used to hearing deadbeat father. It's like, well, yeah, there's this, that's what it is. So we could just leave it at that. No, but we do have an issue with single motherhood. The single mother, that's where most of the issues come from, but that is not the majority of children. But the proposal that I have, and I'm drafting this up for Congress, right? We talk about kids need more help in schools. My issue that I know we're going to run into in the black community, if I say that to get these single mother-led children more help or bus them to different schools is going to cost a little bit of money. I mean, you know how the zoning works and things like that. So if we were to propose a plan where we give allotment to single mothers to get these kids better schooling, then the black community, from the pollings that I've done, they're going to have a problem because they're not getting it. But guess what? The majority of black kids are doing well in school, so you don't need it. But if you're giving single mothers help, the black community will say, why are we rewarding them for doing something that they shouldn't have done? So you see the predicament that I'm in? You know what I'm saying? So it's very tough to help the black community without offending a group for doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of my major things that I'm working on. It's going to be, hopefully in the next 2 years, I'll be able to figure this thing out. But yeah, one of my biggest responsibilities is helping black men understand that it's okay to say that you guys are involved in your children's lives without trying to take all of the blame for the minority of the children that are having issues in society, and that's, yeah. So once we get to that, I think I would have done my part,
Absolutely. Excellent answer. What question do you wish people would ask you but never do?
Man, I really wish they would ask why you decided to respond to certain narratives that I do that are lying about black men, because what tends to happen is when I put out a video, I'll get black men saying, why do you care? They won't listen, so you should, I don't even know why you're doing this, man. You're speaking to a brick wall. And I'm like, well, for one, if you would have asked me why I'm doing it, I'm actually doing it for you as a black man. So you won't go out there thinking that you're less than, which is one of the main issues that we have in our community. Black men honestly don't know what they're doing in society. They are improving. There is some room for improvement. Of course, there's always room for improvement. However, if you guys will stop relying on focusing on the bad things that white people tell you, black fatigue and foolery like that, and you would look into, hey, what you're doing out here in society, man, you're contributing, So ask me why I'm doing it. It can't be if black women won't listen, I can't do anything about that. But for you as a black man, you should have this information. So if you do get into a conversation, you know where to go to either reference it or you just have the knowledge for yourself. And that actually builds self-esteem. If I'm telling you that black men are increasing their annual earnings to the highest that it's ever been, that should be a positive. It should encourage you to continue doing more. You know what I'm saying?
That's because I was hearing these conversations because it's like, man, I did everything I'm doing with no education. Like, I'm a manager. Like, I came a long way. I got off the muscle, and I've been in management for like, yeah, I'm like probably the only dude in management in my company. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in the South. You know what I'm saying? So what advice would you give a man that's 30, like late 30s, early 40s, who may be at middle income, let's say 55, 65, 70,000. And he says, okay, I want to make more money. I want to raise my income. What would you tell that man?
Well, I'm not going to do the cliche thing and say start a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, start your own business, man. Nah, I mean, if you have a job or a skill, let me be correct when what I'm saying. If you have a career and or a skill, then you need to, focus on trying to get better in that career field and skill, especially if that's what you like doing. If it's not something that you don't like doing, then you need to start going back to school or getting another trade so you can start working towards that at the age of 35, because at that age, 35 to 44 is where men tend to increase their earnings the most, right? And you can push that up to 54 in some cases, but 35 to 44, that's when men start to understand, like, hey, I need to start getting to the bag. And also, speaking specifically to Black men, stop focusing on what Black women are doing and focusing on competing with, white men, Asian men, and Hispanic men. Because if you keep your eye on the prize like that, and when I see Black men say, if I tell you that Asian men make $92,000 a year, and it's Black men in the comment section, oh man, I make that right now. You know what I'm saying? I make more than the average Asian man. I was like, man, that's good. So that's where we need to start competing more with in that aspect. So at 35 to 44, I always put things into its proper context. I told the young guys, this is what you need to be making based off of what everybody else is making, men, right? So if you're between 25, whatever, this is where you should be. This is where you should be, 35 to 44. So if you understand that and you have logical goals that you can reach, start there. And also celebrate the small wins. We don't do that enough. I promise you, man. I tell guys, I want to hear everything. If you got a raise, tell it to me. If you got a certificate, tell me so I can promote that so people can see that you guys are actually doing things and stop overlooking when you make these small steps that's going to, help you out when you get older. And that's when I go back to the high value thing. You have to work to get to a certain position where you could be comfortable. And I always use myself for example. I told myself after I retired from the military, I'll never work that hard again, ever. And I don't think people understand how tough it is to be in the military for one, and then retire from it. Only 17% of the people that have ever been in the military have retired. 17%. So I'm never working that hard again. And I did that because, I paid my dues. I set myself up for success when I was younger. So now my wife and I and my child, we can live a great life, So yeah, so that would be the main thing that I would tell, especially 35 to 44, because that's the guys that we tend to speak to the most, and sometimes they are kind of just making their way through life. And that's why I did the archetype.
We late bloomers often.
Yeah.
Like my whole 20s was like, you know what I'm saying? It just went by like that. And you know what I'm saying? It's like, it took a while for me to hit my stride because I just didn't have a foundation. You know what I'm saying? So I my heart go out to young men because I know how that shit feel, man. Because it's like, like even with the whole viral thing, people was like, "Oh, you viral," but to me, it made me reflect on what I should have been. Because I used to do music. I got the name Illa from actually rapping, and I know that's
you rapping on the intro.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, thank you. And that's light. That's light. But I was really on it, and that's how I got the name.
Mm-hmm.
And what going viral did would make me realize that I have a way to convey things to people, whether it be through music or through conversation. So it was kind of a bittersweet experience because it's like, yo, if I did this by mistake, what could I have done on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I just reflected. It's like one of my biggest regrets was second guessing myself, because a lot of shit that I did was really just second guessing myself. And it's like, never do that. Like always always go after things regardless of what people talk about. Because it's like, I'm like, damn, rapping, even though I was excellent at it, I felt like I was just being typical. But now I really had a gift.
Yeah.
And I definitely would have been out of here if I chased it that hard, because I really had something to say. Like the way I talk is how I rap. Like I'm able to take medicine and make it taste like you take. Because I could drop a message and you don't even know I'm dropping a jewel. So it don't come off like it's preachy. You don't even realize I'm saying. Like even the song I just played at the beginning, like if you listen to what I'm saying in that song is real shit. Like in the first verse, I said the game got me mortified. So I focus on being fortified, twisted shit, encrypted and codified, products of a simulation, first generation sufferers of overstimulation. Because I feel like my generation was overly stimulated. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's simple, but it's depth to my lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I could have been somewhere with that, but it was a reflection. So even now, like when it comes to like salaries, I compare myself. I'll look up like what's the average salary for people my age. And as long as I'm ahead of that,
That's
I'm all right. Not saying I'm selling it for that, but I'll look at my age.
That's where you
look at what the
you're
average.
doing
That's
well.
like I'm above average. I'm above average income for my age. So that's the small, like you said, small wins.
That's the small wins that I teach the young guys, because sometimes when people just throw out $100,000 as the key mark, I'm like, brother, you 24 years old. You know how many 24-year-olds make $100,000? So I put things into perspective so you can reach those goals that are measurable. It's easy, you know what I'm saying? Like this is attainable, and then you can work your way up to that. And I'm not saying I'm putting a cap on these guys, but I'm saying look at it from this perspective, and then you can move forward. Don't feel bad about yourself that you see on social media that everybody is saying, well, everybody's to make $100,000. That's one of the conversations that pissed me off the most, where people say that $100,000 is not a lot of money. I'm like, man, it's literally only about 25% of men that make $100,000, and then
because they're comparing us to television. Like I said this a while ago. I say it all the time, and I'm like, black men, especially my era, we're the only men that are not allowed to grow up.
Yeah,
when we're children, especially in the hood, they're comparing you to the demeanor of a criminal, hardened criminal, and the income of a drug dealer at 12 and 11 and 13. So you can't act 11. When you act like you're actually 12 in the hood, that's a detriment. It's like, I'm 12, bro. I still watch cartoons. Then we become an adult, they compare you to millionaires. Like black men are never allowed to just organically develop.
Make their way through it, and just, you know what I'm saying?
It's like normal shit that gets them in trouble. Because now they selling drugs. Now they trying to
get it the fast way, and it's very tough. And
the pressure.
I get it, because it is a lot of pressure that is applied to black men. But it goes back to my point. I am very proud of the younger generation of black men for a couple of reasons, and it may be there is some trade-offs that come to that, because I know people say a lot of guys these days, studies show that we lost testosterone. We're less masculine, the young men these days. But when you look at black men as a whole, the newer generations are responsible for lowering our probability of imprisonment from 1 in 3 to 1 in 5. And that's because they're not committing as many crimes as we did. And that needs to be celebrated. It rarely is. All we tend to look at is the young guys that are supposedly YNs, or the young guys that are dressed in a certain way, or the young guys that's painting their nails. I'm not doing that shit. But what I'm saying is, if you look at things in the proper perspective, what they're doing is being better than us, because they're actually lowering our imprisonment rates and the likelihood of imprisonment. But we
know that also speaks to, whether people want to give them credit or not. That speaks to the older generation telling them what's going on.
Yeah. Some of that stuff.
But we handed it down. We didn't allow. We gave them game to prevent the mistakes, because they had to get that from somewhere.
Definitely.
A lot of them are still single mother households.
Yep,
they coming from.
And I like the fact that they're speaking up more about they want and require in relationships. I personally, I wish that we would have had space like this when we were younger, because I do blame a lot of the issues that we have in the black community in regards to relationships on my generation, because we allowed that type of foolery to happen and nobody spoke up. So now that we have these spaces, I want black men to continue pushing this message like, hey, this is what we require, and we're going to get it with or without you. Sad to say, I promise you, it pains me to say that, it's looking like they really kind of don't have no choice, like you said.
I think the future is interracial for this.
Yeah, and I wrestle with it all the time, man. And it's very tough, because the message is like a good example that I use for black women. I tell them that only 46% of black men have ever fathered a child. 46%. But on black women's side, it's 61% of them have ever mothered a child. That's a 15% gap, right? Which is the largest gap among any race and gender. Okay. So when you think about that, it, for one, completely destroys the black men are all deadbeat stuff, because the majority of black men don't even have children. But then when I'm telling black men you need to partner with the black woman, only 39% of them don't have a child. So it's tough. So what are those black men who are vocal saying, I'm not dating a single mother? It's like, back in the past, that used to be expected. Even though it's a thankless job, black men used to take that job knowing that. Now these young men are like, no. And it has a lot to do with
the horror stories.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with how single mothers, carry themselves. A lot of them on social media. You see the issues with them running back to the baby dad, sleeping with him. And then you actually get to see the caliber of baby dad that you had. It's like, I'm not dealing with you. Like, what? So like I said, I wrestle with that. Like, hey, man,
standard they never even held him to.
Yeah, and that's the biggest issue. I'm like, and I speak to single mothers all the time. I'm like, y'all, you got to be better with your promotion, because for one, it's already tough for me to tell a black man with a kid to date or marry one of y'all. But then y'all talking about you gonna just marry a guy that doesn't have kids. These dudes ain't trying to marry you. They know that you had sex because you got buckaroos running around. So they will use you, and I tell them they got to be mindful. So these young black men, I'm impressed on one end, and I like where the conversation is going, because they're not accepting less, even though the narrative is that black women are settling. But what I see out here is like, hey, these black men are doing what they need to do, and I'm proud of them, and I don't think enough people say that about these, I say new black men, but I think they have the right to say what they want to say and then actually act on it, because social media is a privilege. And I tell women this all the time. Y'all wouldn't even know that men were thinking like this if it wasn't for social media. So whatever you have to say about these guys, about what they talk about, it doesn't matter when we log off, because they're going to do what they want to do regardless. Exactly. And I think that's what they need to understand. Nobody cares about your opinion. Why you want to accept a woman with 2 kids? Why you want to accept a woman who's overweight or obese? We'll listen to you. But as soon as these cameras come off, what, you going to force them to marry a single mother? You going to force them to marry a woman who's overweight? No. And again, it's a lot of largest gaps, pause, in the black community. And one of them is the obesity rates, overweight and obesity rates. Black men and black women are the only ones that's not coupled when you look at the major racial demographics. If you got 8 of them, Asian men, Asian women, it's like it goes, Asian men are the least obese, Asian women is second, and then it goes like white women, and then black men. it's like what? It's like black men, and then you got black women at the bottom with the most obese. And that's another separation that happens. And it's like, it's a lot of things that are different in the black community that we just blame black men for, but we never looked at the statistics when we see that there's more black men married, there's more black men, there's less black men who have children. All these types of things start to add up. So when you hear the narrative that black women are just outpacing black men, okay, y'all can say that, but I know what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what keeps me comfortable. And that's why I tell black men, whatever they say, just, you ain't got to respond. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. So.
And that's why we love Medium Man. 2 more questions, brother, and I'm gonna let you go. What does a healthy relationship actually require that nobody wants to admit?
Man, I'm okay. This is one of the easiest things, and William, I've said this multiple times. You actually got to like that person, man. You have to like them. I know people say, well, what about love? Nah, man.
Love got everything to do with it.
Yeah, it has everything to do with it, but liking somebody is completely different, because I tell the guys on my page, every day is not going to be a social media moment. It's going to be some very slow, mundane days where you got to be around this person every day. And if you don't like that person, you will find issues. I promise you. And it's that simple. If you don't like the person that you literally have to live with for the rest of your life, that marriage will be short. And a lot of people go into marriages because of the wedding and because they think that this is what they're supposed to do. Those are the wrong reasons. When you find that person that you can rock out with, and you actually like being around, you cool with them. I like being around my wife. I'm not one of these guys that's like, man, I need some me time where I need a bro vacation. Why the fuck am I going? I'm sorry. Why the hell am I going?
Do you, bro? Do you?
Why am I going somewhere without my wife? I like my wife. You know what I'm saying? So it's
They
so
really be telling on themselves.
Yeah.
You're not happy. That's why you're on this panel. That's why you're online for 10 hours, because you ain't happy. Because now when y'all like my wife, I want to touch my wife. I want to eat her up and all that shit. I ain't got time to talk to you.
That's what I tell guys. And that's why I tell sometimes I can't stream. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, I want to be with my wife. You know what I'm saying? That's what she here for. You know, running around here. You know, like
but they don't like their wife.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
They don't like your wife. Don't put that on me.
So yeah, so it's one of the simplest things. And also men understanding that you control the relationship dynamic that you want. You don't have to necessarily settle. I hate using that word, but Absolutely. You don't settle. I've learned in these spaces that men run with this narrative that they control access to relationships. So if that's the case, then you need to figure out which woman is going to get on your program. That's simple. If you find a woman, like you said, to your point, there are more women out there that are willing to sleep with you, but won't cook you a meal. Put her in the other things category or leave her alone. That's it. That's not your wife. And you don't have to tell her that. If she thinks she's comfortable with saying, hey, man, I will bend over this couch, but I'm not going to cook you a meal. Cool. That's not a wife. Okay? Leave. And I think a lot of guys have a hard time separating that. They'll argue with the woman. Oh, you won't cook me a meal? So what, brother? Go find another one.
Yeah, stop trying to turn a hoe into a housewife.
Yeah, it's
like some women is recreational. Fuck what they tell you they is. That's what they is. And keep them in that category.
Just leave it at that, man. You ain't got
to put the point guard at the 5, man. She like you gotta let people play the position. That's like I tell people. Don't put your friends in a position that you know. Like you got a cool friend, you got a friend that's good for business. You got a friend that's good for being a wingman. Mm-hmm. Don't put the wingman in the business position. Don't put the business position guy in. Like put people. Women show you where they want to be in your life, mm-hmm. and when they show you, now sometimes they will trick you. I've been fooled before, mm-hmm. but
we all been fooled. What it
is, I've been recently fooled. You know what I'm saying? But you know. I got what I got, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like I wanted more than that. But unfortunately, that's all she had. Mm-hmm. So you know, I'll take that. Yes, I will. But I wish you had more. But unfortunately, that's all she had. But one last question, brother. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed this interview. Like,
me too, man. Thank you again.
One of my faves, man. This is one of my faves. I definitely need you back over here again. When all the conversation is over, what do you want Media Man's contribution to be to the content world, to the community?
Hopefully, at the end of the day, it's just simply to level set the conversation. Because if I think in the Black community, if all things were equal, then we will start to see each other in a better light. And like you said, we will be more friendly to one another. And if I can get, you know, and I always say this, I go by the rule of 10, 3 people for, 3 people against, 4 people undecided, right? The 3 people who are against, not talking to you. Get away. The 3 people who are for already got you. I'm focused on the 4 people who are undecided. If I can get the majority of them onto the people that are for, I think the Black community would be in a better place because of the fact that I understand that I would love to see everybody married or whatever they want, but I know that everybody don't want marriage and everybody won't get married. But if I can push the message that, hey, this is how the Black community looks without all of the hyperbolic statements, without all of the false narratives, this is where we stand. Now that you have this information, let's start partnering together. Let's start fixing this shit together. Once we can get to that point of understanding, I think we'll be, you know, in a better position. I just want to say, but I'm going to go with what you said. We just need to start being more friendly. And I think Black men get it. I'm not going to lie to you. I would say Black men get that more than Black women. But if that's going to be the case moving forward, these Black men are not waiting for Black women to get their shit together at all. And this is from a statistical standpoint. Don't listen to me just saying this like an opinion. I'm literally telling you right now that 1 out of 5 every Black man is now married to a non-Black woman. That is crazy, okay? And it's only going to increase if Black women don't understand that the only men that actually love you the most are Black men. And you stop chasing these false narratives about pasta lobster and white men White men only marry black women at a 0.5% rate. 0.5.
Say that one more time, because they be swearing they in high demand. Say that one more time, please, bro.
So let me say this, and I know this is it always goes back to this. Well, when black women get with a white man, they're the least divorced. Stop quoting that 50-year-old study. It's done. It's not true anymore, okay? And it's not true that when black men marry white women, they have the highest divorce rates. If that was the case, then those interracial marriage numbers would have decreased. Guess what? They increased by 6%. Currently, of the married white men, only 0.5% are married to black women. That is the lowest marital pairing among all races and genders. If you read the Dating Divide book, for some references for the black women who still have this mindset that white men are checking for you guys, read the Dating Divide book and see what they said about how they view black women on the dating market. They see you as sexual objects, sexual conquests that they will date and sleep with, but they will not marry. Okay? So when you see these false-ass white men on social media saying, I love black women, ask them for what? For marriage or sex? 9 times out of 10, well, 0.5 times out of 10 is going to be for sex.
0.5.
0.5%. And this is something that black women can look up on the Census Bureau. So
now, on the other hand, what's that percentage for white women's interest in black men? When
white women marry black women, it's still low, but it is, I think for white women, it's 5%. So it's 5%. When you flip it to black men, out of that 21%, 11% are married to white women. Okay, so half. That's a huge difference than what you see on black women's side. So black men have no problem literally expanding their options. Black men are some of the most sexually desirable men in the world. However, that trend is starting to change in regards to marriage because we had to separate the two. And I want to be very clear on this. White men are still the most desired in regards to marriage, but black men are desired sexually, but a small percentage of that is starting to change. They're starting to marry black men, and black men are starting to partner with other races of women at a higher rate. And I
think that number was low because black men were still marrying their own and wasn't giving them an option, but it was there. They just wasn't taking it. Now they never did. Now.
Because if you look at the historical reference of it, black women are half responsible for why we can actually marry interracially for the Loving versus Virginia case in 1967. So black women have always had access to white men, but you can't affirmative action your way into white men's wedding pictures. You know what I'm saying? So whatever when you say black women are the most loyal, no, you are racially locked because no other men are marrying you. That's what it is. You're not loyal. To be considered loyal, that means you have both sides pulling to marry you. Right now, there's only one side pulling to marry you guys at the highest rate, and that's black men. And you guys gonna shit on them? That makes no sense. Okay? So, and that's as plain as it can be. And I know sometimes they don't like hearing that because you'll see a black woman on social media getting spoiled by some white man, and they're like, "Oh, see, these white men treat us well."
And he'd be like 69 years old.
It's just the worst. And then
it's never Tom Cruise. It's never DiCaprio. It's never Sean Connery. It's always the guy at the general store with a dog with no teeth. It's never the guy in the prom. Yeah, it's never that.
And I think that's one of the many faults that the women's spaces have. Like they'll push this fantasy about other races of men, and they try and mask it. What I've learned is they'll say the best man for the job instead of saying another race of men and trying to dismiss black men. Because one thing that actually benefits the new generation of young black men is that black women don't think that you guys exist, because that's all they've been taught by women who are older and have these podcasts telling them that black men that have their stuff together don't exist. And you know what that does? That pushes them right into the arms of another race of women, because black women aren't checking for the guys that look unassuming or they don't look like rappers or entertainers. They don't think that black men that have trades, they don't think black men that are educated, they fit the bill. And black men are not fighting to get that position anymore. They're not. So they have the
Because to
option.
be honest, they never was looking for the blue collar guy.
Yeah,
You was
and
looking for the drug dealer.
it is what it is.
And
So
the king of the nightlife. You was never like we just played the clip earlier. The woman said she wasn't caring about him till she was 27.
yeah. And it's just crazy. You hear stories like that, and it's like, man, you kind of late in the game, you know? So, and again, I have to stress this: these young black men aren't waiting around. It's not the old days.
And the funny thing is, I believe the woman in that clip is with a white man.
Oh wow! See, and it's like, it's like, damn. So yeah, so and that's one of the things that I'm proud of the young black guys. I'm proud of black men in general, but just to see the discourse of like, yeah, we'll talk with you, but once we leave this podcast, we're gonna do whatever the hell we want, you know. And I like that. So
I love it too, man. But brother, I could talk to you for hours, man.
This was great.
This was lovely conversation. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, you're always welcome here, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I definitely would love to chop it up with you again. You know, for that little proposition I gave you. You know what I mean? Just think about it. But even if not, I still would like to come back. We can do another part 2 or whatever. But now I really appreciate your time, bro. I admire you. I look up to you. And I think you are an exemplary example of what we should all strive to be.
I appreciate it, man.
I think what you're doing is excellent work. I think a lot of us can benefit from learning from you, and just the way you carry yourself, just your countenance, the way you dress, the way you speak. I think is very impressive, and I think you are. I think it's a lot of people trying to like be the next Kevin Samuels and all that. But as far as I'm concerned, the way you move and the way you carry yourself, I feel like you kind of like carrying not his mantle, but the void of the overall package and the delivery. I think I like what you're doing more than a lot of people out here.
Yeah,
and I'm very humble to have so much.
But honestly, I just want to say to you again, thank you again, and blessings to you and yours. I honestly think, man, this is your lane, brother. I promise you. I think you should build on this in regards to the interviewing. You know, this is absolutely amazing, man. I mean, the way that you do it. I don't know if you know who this guy is, but you remember a guy named Taxstone? Taxstone,
yeah, he got locked up. Yeah,
Taxstone got locked up, and I know some shit going on. But when I first started listening to podcasts, man, I don't know why I was listening to this dude, but he was very entertaining to me in regards to the way that he interviewed. I think you're a more intellectual version of Taxstone, man, and I think this is your lane. Just the reach that you have in regards to your intelligence, and also you still have somewhat of an ear to the streets where you can talk to the rappers, the people who are in that field. So honestly, brother, I think this is your lane. So I would actually capitalize on that if you could, man. Seriously. So
the thing is getting people to interview. Could be a little. So it's like that's why I dibble and dab. I might do a reaction here because it's like at the end of the day, you got to put out content.
Yeah.
And to get an interview might take days. It might take weeks. Like everybody don't like. Some people say, "Yeah, man, I'll do it. Of course, hit me, call me, of course," and I don't hear from them.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna say no names. You know who you are.
Yeah.
But it'd be a lot of bullshit. So it's like you have to come up with something because if you wait for people to respond for interviews, it might take weeks.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I just been on a hot streak lately where I'll be able to just get people, but it get hard, bro. It get real hard, especially when a lot of people. Because unfortunately, more people I have to like. I'm rebranding myself now. Not really rebranding because, like I said, my first piece of content on YouTube was an interview.
Yeah,
I came in doing interviews. You know what I'm saying? But people want to see the drama. They remember me highlights, of intellectually chopping people's heads off. That's just who I am. It ain't like I want to do that. It's just like if you say some goofy shit, I read a lot, bro. So it's not too much you could throw my way that I'm not going to have a sound opinion on. It's not too much from quantum theory to I read a lot of stuff. They just don't see it coming because they look at me. They look at, oh, who is this dude? But don't judge a book by its cover because I'm gonna make you look real dumb real quick. So it's like, but people, they want to be entertained.
Yeah.
So I'm like Nipsey said, I'm taking the stairs. Like I could do a salacious panel and I'm gonna do a panel this weekend, but I'm still dropping information. I'm just using current news as an example, but it's just a space where you just gotta keep staying their face. So I would love to do all interviews, but getting people to do it is a whole
it definitely is very tough. I definitely understand you know. But
Especially
yeah,
when you're
man.
not like a Joe Rogan, you could just send
Yeah,
an
yeah,
email.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like getting their attention. It's some people don't want to share it when you tag them. They don't want nobody to know you doing it. Like when I tagged you, just shared it right away. Some people,
Mhm.
I did an interview with one brother. Not only he didn't tag me, he didn't share it when I promoted it, and then when I uploaded the clip of the video that we did and tagged him, he didn't even repost it. So this
Oh
what
wow.
happened. One of my followers reposted it, and then he reposted what my follower did. So that was intentional.
Mm.
You intentionally did not want me to get no. So it's a lot of BS. But you
Yeah.
telling me that definitely gives me
Yeah,
more confidence
it's
to
some
definitely
pettiness, but I
make me
think we
feel.
smart enough to work through it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the blessings to all the black men that's doing something in these spaces, man. Even if I don't agree with how you know run your platforms or whatever, you'll never see me going at another black man because we tend to agree on 80 to 90% of the things. So I think it's a
Right.
space, and I know that some of my subscribers they watch certain content. So it would be stupid of me to be like, hey man, let's not listen to that. Nah, man, black people, black men, get your money, get that message out and do what you need to do. So
Did you say you did a documentary? One of my friends said, "Where can we see the documentary that you did?"
it's actually on my page. It's
Okay.
a Black fatherhood documentary. It's about 53 minutes long. It was
Okay.
something that I had to work. It was tough to put together, man. I would say that much. It was a lot going on.
No, you got
Let me see. I'll get you the title, and I can post it in the chat. You want it so you can check it
Okay.
out.
Okay.
But yeah, it was got some good reviews. Everybody liked it. I got a couple of my friends and family. They said that they actually watched it with their family on Christmas. And one of my followers, he said, I showed my mom and she still didn't believe it. I was like, God, dog. Like,
Send me, matter of fact, I'm gonna do even better. Send me the link and I'm gonna put your information in the description of the video
Okay.
so I can add a link to your documentary to your page. Like text me all your links so I can put it in the description after the video.
Got you.
Because I definitely want people to follow up with you. But nah, this was one of my favorites, bro. I knew it was gonna be just like how it went. So I'm just glad you was able to pull up. Like I said, you're one of my favorite content creators.
Appreciate
I
it.
admire you, I look up to you. And I definitely if you ever see me out of pocket, you ever see me doing something that you feel like could be done better, don't hesitate to tell me, bro.
Yeah.
And I mean
And honestly, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I make this I promise to you, I think I need to watch more content. So I will pay a little bit more attention to what's going on in these YouTube streets and watch a little bit more of your content because sometimes I'm out of the loop and I think I need to. That's one of my flaws in this content creation space because I do have it's a lot going on, But
I
yeah,
mean,
I
you're a
definitely
married man and you're a
yeah.
father, so I
It's
get
very
it, bro.
tough. So
That's a full-time job.
yeah. So I will make a concerted effort to catch a lot more of your content, even when you're on the panel shows. You know what I'm saying? Just to see what's going on. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, thank you.
please, bro. I would love your critique and opinion, man, because I respect you very, very, very much. But thank you for coming, man. We'll stay in touch. I'm not just a internet guy. Like if I'm ever in Texas, I'm gonna hit you and
Reach
maybe
out,
we can break
reach
some
out,
bread.
man.
Because I'm an in-person kind of guy. I ain't a digital person. I'm on my feet on the ground. I like to really establish relationships. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man. You
But to
come
me,
out
the
here, man.
network
I
is the
promise
thing.
you, I'm gonna get you on the golf course.
And I love golf. I used to work at. I tried to caddy. I suck.
Uh,
I was at Baltushaw in Springfield, New Jersey, and they would ask me. So I thought I just had to carry the bag. I didn't realize no, they want you to tell them how to hit this.
yes. Mhm.
I said, hey, sir, just hit that shit straight, man. I don't know shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
if anybody know me, I will
golf
definitely
is
be
a
on the
real
course.
sport.
Yes.
Golf is no joke.
It is a very humbling sport. It is very
Yes.
humbling.
It's like you versus the elements.
Yes. So I'm so because of that fact, I like challenges. So because golf is such a humbling sport, I get more addicted to it the more I play because I'm trying
I
to
can't even
master
hit
it.
the ball, bro.
Yeah,
You gonna have
I'm
tell-
trying to
teach me
master it,
all
but
that.
you can't master it. I just now literally perfected my swing. So it's been like 4 years since I've been playing. So
I
I appreciate
love
it, man.
golf, but I don't know how to
Yep.
play. But yeah, if I'm in Texas, don't know. I'm
I
hitting
got
now.
you. I got you.
I appreciate this, bro. We will be in touch. was a beautiful interview, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. God bless. Appreciate it, brother.
You too, bro. You too. All right, y'all. We got another one. I think that's one of my favorites. That's definitely top 2, top 3 interviews I had so far. That was a very good conversation. Medium Man is a class act. Follow that brother, get in tune with his information. He's definitely factually oriented, and he separates the bullshit from the real. And he's humble, and he's a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Good man. He's not ego driven. Like he's just a good person to really get in tune with and follow what he's trying to do. And to me, these are the type of content creators that need to be highlighted. Is brothers like that. So as you can see, I'm just trying to bring people that inspire me, that influence me, that people that are impressive to me, and I want to share them with my audience. So hopefully this is another one that you guys like. And remember, please, guys, don't just hype the video. I need y'all to hype the video. Everybody that's watching right now, after the video, throughout the week, hype the video. Hit the hype button until they don't let you hype it no more. This keeps me in the algorithm. This keeps me going. Sometimes I'll be forgetting to tell y'all certain stuff, but please, Team Illa, hit the hype button after this video. I don't know, I might be on these YouTube streets tomorrow. I'm definitely got something planned Saturday. A panel. I'm having an open panel Saturday morning. My new panel show is called Unpacking the Cap. I'll be doing that every week, reviewing news of the week, whether it be panel news, whether it be relationship news, just things that are trending. I'm going to be dropping my opinion on it every Saturday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. The show is called Unpacking the Cap. That is my new show. This is the flyer for next week, or this weekend coming. My fault, it's on the back line. Let me drop it. Drop my video real quick. That will be Saturday. Unpacking the Cap. Hold on, wait a minute. This is what I'm talking. See, man, y'all gonna make me cry. Man. Y'all gonna make me cry, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. This is what I'm talking about, man. Man, listen. Medium Man just showed love to the boy. Shout out to Medium Man with the $100 holla. He said, great content, good content ain't free. Tell him again, bruh. This is quality stuff I'm trying to bring to y'all, man. I ain't bringing y'all no crazy stuff, man. I'm trying to be the Black Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just trying to be Illa South, Eric Illa Hutchins. That's what I'm trying to be. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, like, I want to be somebody. That's the way I'm going with this. It's bigger than the panel. It's bigger than dating. I want to just be one of the world's leading voices, thought leaders. That's my goal. It ain't to be debating Tommy Sotomayor. No offense to you, Tommy, you cool, but that ain't what I'm here for. So holla at me, support the movement. You see what we're trying to do. You see where I'm trying to go with it. I'll see y'all Saturday. Shout out to everybody that pulled up. This is one of my best shows. And as you can see, quality over quantity. But I love all of y'all, Team Illa. Thank you for pulling up. And we are out of here.
I'm 10 toes. Hey, yo, the game got me mortified. So I focus on being fortified. Twisted shit encrypted and codified. Products of a simulation. First generation sufferers of overstimulation. My stipulation got me looking for some ventilation. I changed the station, ignoring Satan's invitation. No visitation for my brothers off solicitations. Incarcerations, it's called the Matrix. If life's a bitch, then she's a dominatrix. So death got to be your masculine presence. Opening his arms while you bask in his essence. Sometimes when I talk to God, I call my passive aggressive. Will I open heaven's doors or just burn from my lessons? Blessings. You know the game been told. If I was you, then my soul would have been sold. Watch what you do, cause it's coming back tenfold. Either way it goes, man, I'm 10 toes, 10 toes, 10.